Macheroni, Sanbonani. Good morning, Goeiemorgen, Dumelang. Welcome to Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, on our second day. And today, we feel very nostalgic. We're going to travel back in time. But to do that, perhaps an interesting story about a Tanzanian who was called Stephen Akhwari, who competed in the 1968 Olympics in Mexico, Summer Olympics, and finished very, very last after about 3.5 hours. And this is in a country where, at the time, as we all know, the Olympics were still very much Euro-American dominated. He went there, competed, but came very, very late. People were already gone. The media was packing. Akhwari was seen coming. And as he came, a little small group of journalists went to interview him. Why have you come late? Why are you bleeding? He indicated that he had ran, and somewhere on the wayside, he was thrown off a cliff. He had to come back, fight with the cliff, broke a few of his body parts. They say, but why did you continue? He's like, well, my country did not send me 5,000 miles to start the race. They sent me 5,000 miles to finish the race. That is our duty in life, to finish the race. What race are you in? What are the obstacles that have impacted on you? What is it that you have to exhume? And the athletics and the people who are called athletes always have an amazing story to tell us about starting all over, about getting out of the pit. What is the pit that you're in? What is the pit that you have come out of? What is your moment of Stephen Akhwari? Today in the show, we've got a travel back to time to 1996. We're going to speak to Neil Tovey, Mark Fish, the 1996 Bafana team that won the AFCON. We're also going to travel back in time and also speak to Tracy Going, the legendary broadcaster who I met in 2002 on my interview when I won the Young Communicators Award. So stay tuned. But before we proceed, we just want to give a shout out to Mama Makeba. This is her birthday. She was born in 1932. And this is our shout out to her. Happy birthday, Mama Makeba. Thank you for beautiful music. We're going to the open lines from now up to the top of the hour at 10. Studio line is 0861987000. You can also send us your voice notes on WhatsApp 083-303-7093. If you've just joined, this is Power Talk on Power 98.7. Hashtag Power Talk. This is the open lines. This is the open lines. What is it? What is your Stephen Aquari moment? If you're in the city of Joburg, we are told the roads are going to be prepared, not for our people, but for G20. We all remember that we come from a momentous weekend of the Oscars. Something brilliant happened in the Oscars. A Palestinian film won an Oscar that documented the struggles with the land, the struggles with the genocide, the struggle with the people that are under a genocidal violence. Trump is addressing Congress today. Is he going to put more sanctions on our people? Is he going to pick on more lands that he wants to claim for himself? Maybe he's going to make a statement on taking over Gaza. Maybe even the whole of the West Bank, as apartheid, Israel colonization gains momentum. We go to Tembisa. Boniswa. Welcome to Power Talk. Sabona Sisi.
I hope you're well.
I'm good. I'm good.
You're good, good. So, yesterday there was a conversation that was happening, and it reminded me of why it's important that we forgive our leaders. And it reminded me of a song by Calvin Momo. It's called Izono Zabazali. In the sense that Izono Zabazali zingaweli guti, Izono zetu, zingaweli pizwingang zethu.
Yeah.
And the reason I thought of that is Tinika did this weekend, and it's like a traditional function, with the ekral and communities and komboti, that vibe, which is something that we hadn't done in a long time. As family actually didn't know about it. And this is a continuation from a chat, I've had before in terms of me trying to find my identity, trying to understand what it means to be African, what it means to be black, all of those things. So I was just proud that we were able to have that moment. But the reason we got to get to that moment, there's a lot that happened. And for us young people to sort of forgive the elders for their mistakes and prepare ourselves to actually do the right thing.
So what kind of mistakes are you thinking of, Boniswa?
So family-wise, which is more like local, it's things that we don't, names, how you give names, because we're African people, so that plays a huge role in a person's identity, the process that was involved. Maybe the parents don't get along, how you separate, the impact that can have on the children, and like your purpose also, like not existing in a community where from a young age it is very clear what your purpose is. So you exist, but you actually don't know why you are here. So you obviously get frustrated. So then we experience things that we see in the hood. And when I see people go through a lot, I don't like to judge them for what I see. I want to understand where things went wrong before. And yes, apartheid played a huge role in the destruction of the African family, even what we think of our practices and our culture. For example, for it to take so long, it was because they used to have a stigma against certain practices, because for a certain period of time we were told that these things are not good, these things are bad, etc., etc., etc. And the reason that happened, I think, was because they knew once you tap in, you are like unstoppable. But just as a sense of moving forward, things happened, but let's forgive and let's move.
Okay, thank you so much, Boniswa. We'll pick on that later about forgiveness. I think it's an interesting topic, Denzel. Okay, Khomotso in Moot, how are you? Welcome to Power Talk.
Hello. How are you feeling second day? Are we good?
We are going to be good. We're going to be good. We're always in the becoming good.
Oh no, we are already good. And what I'm saying, because if this is your first week, my brother, 52 weeks. We're going to have legends every day. Him and look after a little bit now. Our meetings are going to stay on quiet.
When I calculated, it was 720 hours. Imagine.
Listen, because normally when you listen to a show, I always listen at the beginning to hear, okay, what do I want to contribute on? And you're like, but I want to contribute the whole show. How's this going to work? But I'll cut it down to two. Yeah. First line, you got me on that Oscar thing. I love the Palestinian thing. I thought it was amazing, especially what the Jewish guy had to say.
Yeah.
about them living this thing for real, not this play where people are like, playing chess games. I love that.
Yes.
But I'm so excited when you say Neil Tovey and Mark Fish, 1996.
And Benni McCarthy too,
And Benni McCarthy, but I'm sticking to all six because 1996.
Yeah, 96.
I was my second year in Pretoria. I was in grade. Yeah, it was grade 10.
So you were in grade 10?
I was in grade
Standard
10. 8. I was in Pretoria. We used to walk around and Sunnyside Lade Street. And we would go, and every time you pass by our house, you'd scream, "Hey!" And she was so nice because she would wave, and we'd just be taking pictures of this woman's old lady's house because it was like, yeah, this is where he lived, where his grandmother is. So there's that. So that's also amazing.
That's
and
a lovely
of course,
memory.
Tracy Going, wow. And you know the way I love Tracy Going? Like, Rana Bakisali, we almost do like we'll do with you guys when they change the lineup. Like, I'm not going to tune in. But like, I like this person though.
Yeah.
I'm like why I say someone like go on change. But wow, what a full circle moment for you too. Amazing, right?
Yes.
So given
life as it should be.
But yeah, Fish, his grandmother's house. And so funny because even now, of course, it's so funny. You used to hang around in Sunnyside, maybe you lived in it. You're so scared. But you still go, that was Mark Fisher's grandmother's house. There it is on Lade Street.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
He's my brother. Look forward to listening. Please, my brother. Please.
We'll start a fund for those circumstances. Thank you so much, Khomotso from Mood.
Power Up with Kwena Moabelo.
The ANC is making it hard, well, if reports are anything to go by. It looks like they're still pushing for this VAT thing. So now they've dropped from 2% to 0.75. It looks like the DA is on my side. I never thought I would say something like that in my life as a black person. A historically white racist party in the Democratic Alliance is fighting for the rights of the people against a revolutionary movement of the people. Because the DA says no VAT. The ANC says 2. The DA says no. It's like, okay, 0.75. The DA says no. So the DA is fighting for the people of Mzansi against the ANC. Can you believe that?
Power Up, weekdays 3 to 6 a.m. on Power 98.7. Now we're talking.
The G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group technical meeting has kicked off in the Western Cape. From March 3rd to the 5th, global leaders are convening to tackle critical anti-corruption strategies. Discussions will focus on 3 key areas: strengthening public sector integrity, enhancing asset recovery, and promoting inclusive participation. This meeting marks a key step towards global accountability. A message by the Department of Public Service and Administration.
Speak up. On 0861 987 000.
If you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. We're on the open lines, and we're going to go to Khomotso in Shawelo. Khomotso, good morning.
Good morning, Leader. How are you?
I'm fine, brother. How are you?
I'm okay. I loved your intro yesterday. It was powerful. I even tweeted that, to use a football analogy, you came in and you had a very intelligent first start. It was quite a very intelligent first start that you had. You showed glimpses of being a good player.
Thank you.
Mine is to answer a question you asked yesterday. What is it that you would like us to talk about?
Yes, please.
And I'm saying that I'd like us to look into the recognition employment of persons with disabilities, graduates in particular with disabilities. There's a very ugly thing that happens in most organizations, wherein persons with disabilities enter the labor market through internships and learnerships, where organizations claim the various grants that they contribute on an annual basis or monthly basis. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
So they pay them through those stipends. and obviously fulfill certain statistical requirements. But you find that those very organizations, when they have direct employment opportunities, wherein we stand to be their employees and right under their cost centers, there seems to be a lull in that space. So I'm saying that those are some of the things that we need to look into, challenge the status quo. And there's this one question that I haven't even gotten an answer in most spaces where you ask, how many persons with disabilities do you have in your organization? And what kind of roles do they occupy? Because having a person is something, but also the position that the person holds is also something else. Yeah, then the position then reflects the type of confidence that an organization possesses towards such individuals. Because if you just having them for the sake of having them, that is a separate conversation altogether. But I'm confident that we'll delve into that and we'll, shake a few screws there and there. And just on a lighter note, I see you normally visit different churches, and there's a few individuals that I, like myself, that I've had preach Prophet Lehulela, Babukumbi, and a few. So it would be interesting one time to have one of them in studio, or something similar to that which happened yesterday, but with religious leaders.
Thank you so much. We certainly will pick on that employment for people with disabilities and them being given proper and impactful, long-lasting jobs that have responsibilities of power. Thank you so much, Khomodzo. Jack in Hammanskraal, good morning. Welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you. How do you do?
The other time when we introduced, you were talking more on leaning on the African traditional belief systems, which impressed me a lot. So my context for this argument I want to advance is that on the 8th of May, there are efforts to celebrate, launch, popularize Ancestors' Day in Africa as a whole, but particularly in South Africa. So I'm not sure if we can start efforts towards that as a build-up, because if we try to bring back the pride of an African child or African person as a whole, we should teach them. And I'll give you two examples. When we do our rituals, you always use traditional African beer that you pour on the ground and snuff on the ground. When you rest, when you need help and resting, you rest at the bottom, the trunk of the tree. So that shows us that as a human being, you must humble yourself and be prepared to start from the beginning. So African culture is so rich that if we can explore that and even spread it to schools and churches, maybe it can help us to bring back the pride and the heritage and the birthright of an African child in an African continent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think, well, is it African Ancestral Day or African Ancestral Worship Day?
It's African
Ancestral Day. All right.
Yes, on the 8th of May.
Thank you for that contribution. We'll certainly do a build up. But absolutely. Thank you very much, Jack. Thank you so much. All right, Temba in Saldanha Bay. How do you do, Temba? Welcome to Power Talk.
How are you, sir?
I'm good, Nkosi. How are you?
Good.
We've got 1 minute before I take the headlines. Do you think you can hit for 1 minute?
No, I got 2 points.
You've got 2 points. Make the first one. You stay online. When we come back, you'll make the second one. How about that?
Yes. My worry is about the South African Defence Force that left stranded in DRC.
I see.
Each part of the DRC is controlled by M23. Actually, South African Defence Force have been surrounded by M23. The M23 is offering free passages. They must go through Rwanda. Pretoria is refusing. I don't know why we keep them. We're waiting them. They must start fighting against M23. What will keep them there?
Yeah.
I have a cousin who's there. He's worried. He saw his comrade to die. And there's no counseling. They're running out of food, medicine, water. And then no one is talking because, we've been told, no, that they're keeping peace mission. It's not a keeping peace mission. Mission. So I hope the president is listening, or the cabinet, I don't know who's advising the president, because we can't keep this, because even just a kid that doesn't care about the people in East America, he didn't go to African Union. Where did he got money? He said, now African Union, they are useless.
I'll give you this, Temba. We will dedicate next week, Tuesday, to the DRC question, and we'll see if we can get all the actors and decision makers to join us. Please hold on. We're going to take the headlines with Nonhlanhla Sihume. Stay tuned.
Thanks, Doc. In stories making headlines, the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements is urging the National Department, along with its stakeholders, to expedite the unlocking of the Emergency Housing Response Fund to assist those affected by the ongoing floods in KZN. It comes in the wake of recent floods that have claimed more than 20 lives in the last 2 months. During an oversight visit in October, the committee also expressed concerns about the delays in accessing the fund for flood victims, stressing that these delays should be removed to ensure swift assistance to those in need. Meanwhile, Human Settlements Minister Thembis Melani is set to visit KZN today following the severe floods that caused by heavy rain in that province. The extreme weather has left a trail of destruction, damaging property, roads, and other key infrastructure. Here's a KZN Human Settlement spokesperson, Ndabezinhle Sibia.
We are doing everything in our powers to provide a decent accommodation to the affected families. There are families, more than 21 families, that have been moved to a hotel, and there are many more other families that are in different accommodations in various parts of Tvet. But that is not enough. That is why we are looking at building permanent houses here at the back. We received all the necessary approvals so that we are able to build permanent houses for these affected families.
Afriforum has raised concerns about the legal validity of the HAWKS' investigation into high treason, questioning the probe's legal foundation. It follows the HAWKS' confirmation that they are investigating 4 high treason dockets which relate to allegations of a white genocide against farmers in South Africa. These allegations, initially presented by Afriforum and the Solidarity Movement to U.S. President Donald Trump's administration, claim that the South African government, under the leadership of the ANC, is either allowing or even encouraging violence against farmers, particularly those of European descent. Moving to this, the U.S. has paused military aid to Ukraine. Now, a White House official confirmed this on Monday, days after President Donald Trump clashed with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the Oval Office. Trump reportedly ordered Secretary of Defense, that's Pete Hegseth, to implement the pause. The decision comes just hours after Trump denied discussing a suspension of aid, but suggesting that Zelensky should be more appreciative of U.S. support.
I want one thing to happen. I want all of those young people to stop being killed. They're being killed by the thousands every single week. President Zelensky supposedly made a statement today in AP. I'm not a big fan of AP, so maybe it was an incorrect statement, but he said he thinks the war's going to go on for a long time. And he better not be right about that. That's all I'm saying.
More details in the news at 10 with Nyaka Lotefo.
Power traffic.
A very good morning to you. Let's check out what's happening in your roads. Starting off in Sandton, if you're traveling on Grayston Drive westbound, you can expect delays as you get off the M1 highway. That pressure is headed towards Linden Street. If you do plan on joining Linden, you'll bump into a 10-minute backlog that's headed towards the Rivonia Road intersection. Catherine Street southbound is very slow as well. That's as you're approaching West Street. If you are traveling on the N1 northbound in Buccleuch, there's queuing traffic to expect as you're going through the Buccleuch interchange. Those delays are clear before you get to the Allendale Road exit. The N3 northbound is also experiencing some delays as you're going through the Buccleuch interchange, joining the N1 highway. Over in Four Ways, Cedar Road southbound is experiencing a 10-minute backlog. That's from the Broad Acres Shopping Center. Those delays are clear just after the Four Ways Boulevard intersection. You can also expect delays as you're traveling on Main Road southbound in Lone Hill. That pressure is clearing just after you pass the Witkoppen Road intersection, and those delays start from Lone Hill Boulevard. And remember, if you come across any further traffic incidents, tweet at Power987 Traffic. For Power Traffic, I'm Lebogang Pukela.
Power Traffic.
Ladies, it's time to celebrate you. Join the Empower Her Ladies Lunch at NH Santon on March 6th, a day of inspiration, indulgence, and connection. Enjoy empowering guest speakers, a high tea, a wine tasting experience, and ultimate pampering by Thai therapists. Plus, a skincare masterclass, love therapy with Pratisha Naidu, and a fabulous exclusive goodie bag. All this for just 750 rands. Spaces are limited. Book by calling 011 322 1888 and invest in yourself.
Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, where your voice is heard and opinion matters.
We're still on Power Talk on Power 98.7 with me, Mbuyiseni. The open line. You can call us on 0861987000. I see President Trump has trying to disrupt the war between Ukraine and Russia. It's an interesting angle there about the aid that he has suspended. But we're still with Themba from Saldanha Bay. Themba, please make your last point.
Yes, the issue of floods that claim 21 people in KZN. That's showing competence of these ANC government-led government. They know every year that there will be rain in KZN or the floods. People still crossing rivers. There's no bridges, you know. RDP houses, they are collapsing because these are substandard houses that were built by the ANC comrades, you know. And these incompetence, they blame climate change, you know. There's incompetence of people building these houses in wetland areas. You know, you allow people to build a house and you don't take action. I think it's wrong. You know, we need to call out these comrades in the world. They must stop building houses. They must build bridges for people, kids can cross to go to school. You don't need to cross the rivers. You know.
Yeah.
Last one challenge for you, Dr. Jones.
Yeah.
Can you try to bring in Professor Jet Sex?
Okay.
Please, because I think he's one of those professors that, especially in global politics and whatever economy, you know, is economics from Columbia University. Before end of the year, this is your challenge for you.
Okay. We'll try our best. Thank you so much, Themba, and thanks for the wonderful suggestions. Let's go to Soli in Tembisa. He's been holding for a while. Welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Bob.
Yes, yeah. Welcome to the Power family.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, Doctor, I'm a big listener for Power FM family. I listen to the guys like DT, Denzel Taylors. You know, I'm listening to Koina Mwabelo like during 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Since you come to the Power, I just told myself that, you know what, I will start listening to the Power in the 9 in the morning. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. And what you did, Doctor, you did a massive move. Yeah. But you take a big move. And then I'd like to congratulate you and welcome you to the Power. Know that we are always here with you. You know, when the baby starts walking, he take a such step like crawling, so forth, with the hands and legs. So I know that this Power is going to be a big a radio station, not African, like globally, because there are people streaming all the way.
Yeah.
So now what you did, you're just making us to come to the Power, because as I said, I'm a big listener of Power, although today is my first time calling. I'm just listening. I'm just enjoying listening to the Power FM.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now the
so
Power
much.
also took a big step, taking you into this family.
Yeah.
So we are welcoming you, Doctor, and
Thank you. Thank you.
Always and we will always be 100% behind you and the power.
I appreciate it. You are very kind. Soli Ntembisa. Asiyene KwaZulu iqhopho Sifiso. Welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning, Doctor. Kunja.
Ngiyaphila njani bhuti?
Siyaphila. I almost want to say hello.
Yeah.
Yes. Doctor, I'm responding to a call that was left to us by Umam Shedo yesterday. She asked us, what are we doing in our corners? And I think, for me, it plays in well with, your current ask of us as well to say what do we want to talk about, right?
Sure.
So, for me, Doctor, I left my formal employer about 7 months ago to, follow the call, or to follow, the voices in my head telling me where and what to do. So I find myself in a space where I've returned home to my birthplace, Ekaya Ekpopo, after having spent, quite some time in the metropolitan cities, Johannesburg and Durban. And now I've found myself that I'm at a space where I'm able to take my experiences and the knowledge that I've gained over the years to then come and implement or to then shed light in the immediate communities that I'm able to impact. And such, there's a number of workshops that I'm planning to have over the next couple of months to firstly get to know the profile of the unemployed, to walk away from the statistics, but to drill it down to the actual individuals themselves. Who are they? And so that we may then explore and share their life stories so that we may then understand them better before we get to the development stage. And that's also then going to help us to explore what is their current beliefs and values and, their end goals, so that we may then be able to craft, a plan together to say what is it that they can do. Also, then, coupled with practical workshops to then disseminate information around, your pivotal programs like your internships and bursaries and how, those programs work so that it actually gets down and get back to the communities that need them. And so I thought to myself, while I do that to contribute to the conversations that we'll be having, I'll have those workshops and then I'll take it upon myself to come and report back to say what have we found thus far and see how we can then contribute to the conversation.
No, Sifiso, I wish you the best, my man. I wish you the best, and keep us abreast about the developments on the open lines. It would be interesting to keep in touch and see how it's going. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Pretoria. Masingita, welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning, Dr. Ndlozi. How are you?
Ngiyaphila njani bhuti?
No, nipukela sinene Tata Ndlozi.
Enko.
Yes. Look, Dr. Ndlozi, it's such an absolute pleasure to be talking to you as the new anchor of Power Talk. I've always enjoyed listening to your intellectually mesmerizing and appetizing insights over the years. So, yes, I really am so happy to be talking to you. But look, Dr. Ndlozi, the day you were unveiled as the new anchor of Power Talk, the chairman of MSG Africa, Mr. Benni McCarthy, shared a very interesting story behind the Power Manifesto, which I thought needed to be belabored, especially the part where he explained what occasioned the amendment of the original manifesto.
Oh, yeah, about Azania.
Yes, about Azania. So, look, Dr. Ndlozi, I respect President Beki so much, and no doubt he's a very smart old man and a thought leader. But I think his demonstration against the name Azania was disingenuous, especially coming from someone who wrote a very powerful poem entitled I Am an African. And I'm saying this, Dr. Ndlozi, because in philosophy, and African philosophy in particular, the name or the term Africa, which replaced Azania in the Power Manifesto, is problematized. And it becomes very clear that the name Africa is a product of colonial nomenclature and colonial imposition, which has everything to do with Europeans' experience of the continent's weather, you know. And lastly, the name Azania, Dr. Ndlozi, within the South African context, it is inextricably linked with the Pan-Africanist Congress, which was a breakaway party from the ANC. So I'm not entirely surprised that President Bego would say something like that about Azania. So I just wanted to propose that maybe one day we should have a master class to try and unpack this issue. Maybe invite some historians who can really, assist us to understand which one came before the other between Azania and Africa. But that coming from President Bego, I really have got, some kind of doubt, you know. Yes.
Thank you. It's an interesting debate indeed. And as far as I understand, President Beki is an open-minded African thinker who is very welcome to, a critical reflection on any African concept. But thank you for that contribution, and the masterclass will definitely try and process it. Thank you very much, Masingita.
No, thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Let's take some of your voice notes. If you've been joining us just now, welcome to Power Talk on Power 98.7 with Mbuyiseni. Voice notes.
Hi, Dr. Q. It's Mashandu here. On the topic of what we would like to be talked about, I really wish we could settle the issue of Tvet colleges. I mean, today is World Engineering Day. I mean, engineer is not an engineer without an artisan, without a technician. So I feel like
okay, we're gonna fix that. We're trying to move in between systems because of the traffic we've got here. Let's take Tina in the Eastern Cape. Tina, welcome to Power Talk.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Ndlozi. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good with you, Njanwen.
Before I start, I just want to say something. It was very commendable of you to leave politics rather than join MK party. Because I think we are all forgetting that some of these economic difficulties that we are in was because we had a Zuma government. And I see now lately people who were dismayed with his governance have joined his party. And if I may continue, I think we must never forget that the cardinal. The importance of a government is basically to provide health, security, and wealth to its citizens. Now, if we had a good government in this past 30 years, some of these things like Afriforum would be redundant. I mean, some of us, if we had a good economy, would be so wealthy that we would afford to buy these farms ourselves, making the government redundant. So the second thing is about this expropriation bill. I mean, I don't think it's a good idea to give a government. The government is already powerful. I don't think it's ever a good idea to give government such powers. Because, I mean, we are forgetting that in a few years ago, we had a Zuma government, which, amongst other things, could just name this thing overnight a new financial minister. So it's never a good idea to give government. I mean, they might expropriate Afrikaners things now, but in the future, when they run out of that, they'll come for us. We must remember that. The government has got enough powers to get all the land it requires without going the expropriation route. This is just a ruse to keep the ANC in power. Unfortunately, Afriforum has played into that. And they were just lucky that in their endeavors abroad, they made a boycott, which is Trump. Because when it was bidden, they didn't have such powers. So we must never forget that. This must not be used to hide the inefficiencies of a government that has failed us over 30 years.
Thank you. Thank you, Tina. I think we will have to come back to that subject much more radically on expropriation bill, and I promise that we'll try to make an entire show and meal out of it. Thank you very much. I want us to move to Johannesburg. Kaisen, welcome to Power Talk.
Morning, 16 view of radio.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
How are you doing there?
I'm good. Welcome to Power Talk.
Yes, man. I just want to congratulate you on your appointment. And I was just telling your producer that you are likable. So we all are going to flock around this time just to listen to you.
Thank you.
With your voice, your knowledge, and everything that you possess. So
No,
just want to say God bless, keep shining, and keep pushing.
God bless you too, Kaisen, and thanks very much. You are very kind.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. I think we've got those voice notes. Let's listen to the voice notes. If you've just joined us now, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, on Power 98.7. We're on the open line. Studio line is 0861987000 and 000. On WhatsApp line, you can send us voice notes on 083-303-7093. Let's take the voice notes.
Hi, Dr. Q. It's Mashandu here. On the topic of what we would like to be talked about, I really wish we could settle the issue of Tvet colleges. I mean, today is World Engineering Day. I mean, engineer is not an engineer without an artisan, without a technician. So I feel like the government is not doing enough to push STEM at Tvet colleges. I mean, I don't understand why would a person go and study project management or management accounting at the Tvet college. Tvet colleges should be made for trade and trade only. Government must put equipment. We have to get artisans, proper artisans from the Tvet colleges. Keep well.
The great doctor, welcome to Power FM. I heard you yesterday and I was quite happy to hear your voice, particularly with the veterans. More importantly, my name is Mandela from Pretoria. I wanted to ask a random Tuesday question, which was a feature on Power Breakfast. What happens when somebody passes on and you bury them and they're still in your contact list? What do? Do you delete that number? Yes, it sounds logical, but it almost feels like you're deleting the existence.
Indeed, what happens? What do? Do you delete the number? I still have my grandmother's number on the phone. The problem is one day you might call that number and it will be answered by someone else other than the person you once knew. Someone alive somewhere, from somewhere in the country, because the number gets recycled. Let's take Tammy from Shawelo. Welcome to Power Talk. Welcome to Power Talk, Tammy. All right, we're going to go to Midrand. Let's take Neo from Midrand. Welcome to Power Talk, Neo.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Welcome to Power. Doc, I just want to ask about the role of Parliament. How come that, I'll make an example, the issue of DRC Congo and South African defense force. How come members of Parliament are asking the same questions that the public is asking? For example, we are asking, why are our soldiers there? What are they doing there?
Yeah.
What are they equipped with? Isn't that Parliament is supposed to know, members of Parliament, they're supposed to know we have soldiers there, why they are there, and this is what they are equipped with. They are asking the same questions when the public is asking. So what are they doing? What is their role, basically? Is it just to sit there in Parliament and then let the executive run the country, and then when there's an issue, then they make hullabaloo like the public? Or are they not allowed to have access to this information?
They certainly are allowed. They're certainly allowed. And I can tell you part of what they can do is an oversight visit to the camp. They can get that going as well. Very brilliant question indeed, Neo. We must all wonder, why are they complaining like the rest of us when they've got the power to source the information? Thank you very much, Neo.
Power Drive with Thabiso Kotane.
Yes, sir.
But you remember one day I raised an issue that we are hosting this G20, but our cities, the most.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about the G20? The Johannesburg Mayor, Dada Morero, said, and I quote, "We have prioritized certain routes within Johannesburg, which are G20 routes, to ensure that at least we can make them to be at the standard they should be. No potholes, no traffic signals that are not working." So they are fixing these problems so that the G20 leaders could enjoy our roads. So they only prioritize fixing them because of I find this highly condescending. It was also in our news, by the way, this particular story.
It's a very sorry state of affairs, really.
Got you. Thank you, my brother.
Power Drive, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. on Power 98.7.
Power Drive was proudly brought to you by the Road Accident Fund. Your trip shouldn't end with RIP. The Road Accident Fund, an entity of the Department of Transport.
Midnight Oil has a very distinct smell for business owners. Those who know will say it's got grit and graft. That's why Telkom Business wants to unleash the hero in you with the Business Fusion deal. Get a Packard Bell Montenero laptop, LTE 120 gigs anytime data, 120 gigs night surfer data, Smart Voice Basic, plus a professional website for only 749 Rand per month. Call 10213, click telkom.co.za or go to any Telkom shop. TNC apply. Telkom. Possible begins here.
Your daily dose of great and insightful conversations, preparing you for the day ahead. Power Talk on Power 98.7.
Welcome back. We're on Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. We're still on the open line, and there's so many calls, and I'm trying to fit them all in. So if we can just agree, all of us, that when you do come in, keep it to 60 seconds, 1 minute, so that more people can be able to come in. There's so many who have been holding for over 30 minutes. So when you do come in, I plead, let's keep it to 1 minute so that the traffic is really properly coordinated. Moses in Bramley, welcome to Power Talk.
Hey, welcome, the good doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to pay a tribute to Mama Miriam.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, when it's not fashionable, this old lady, she delivered a moving speech at the UN on our behalf, a citizen of this country. But what saddens me, like what they did to Matigizela Mandela, Mama, they did it to Miriam Makeba. At her last days, the comrades were just eating left, right, center. But these two great women who represented us, we knew, Mama, we knew she was here, running around with our comrade locally. But at her last days, these guys were just eating like there's no tomorrow, not even looking at these two ladies. To me, they represent almost everything in my life, these two ladies. But I'm a comrade. I'm a seller when they were eating.
Yeah.
They didn't want to know about these people. They hibernate all over in Africa. But when they come back, they were just running amok, spending our resources like this. There's no tomorrow. So, I mean, I'm a comrade, really. You will forgive me. I'm a comrade. They've just actually bring almost everything down.
Thank you. Thank you, Moses. Let's try to get other people in. But thank you very much for that, and long live to the undying spirit of Mama Miriam Makeba. Lehlonolo from Pretoria, welcome to Power Talk.
Indeed, Dr. Ndlozi, long live, may her spirit live longer and inspire us all, including that of Mama Winnie. Mamela, man, as a business person, right? You can hear me?
Yes,
can
sir.
You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, as I was saying, I'm quite passionate with this issue of unemployment and value creation. As I said to you yesterday, that if the state itself it does not capacitate itself. This morning on my way, I usually run in the morning. I came back in our areas, the refuse, the dustbin, man.
Dustbin.
Yeah, there are these boys that usually do our waste separation because they pull these trolleys on the road. I like to, stand around with them and just get to know what they think, what skill they have, so that we can help where possible. And hence I developed this interest when that gentleman from Natal called to say that he left formal employment so that he can go down where it matters most, where he can have faces behind the numbers of unemployed. To say, if we don't, and these young people were telling me their stories when Dr. Ndlozi, and they're your age, and they were telling me how hopeless they are, that they do not think that they would marry and have families because what they're doing now is community degrades their daily, living. Exactly. And I just have one plea to our community to say, those guys are playing a critical role as much as many other unemployed young people. To say, whatever the young people are trying to pursue, let us as adults and those that are successful in our careers, look at them as part of our responsibility. Perhaps, as little as mentorship, to say, guys, we hear you. Wherever we see opportunities, let's think about them as well,
Thank you. Hlonolo, I apologize. I've got to cut you. But I think the message is very clear. We apologize to all the rest of the callers. We are inundated, and it will get better as we go. But it's time for the news with Nyakalo Tefu.
Power News.
Thanks, Mbuyiseni. The top story: South Sawa Human Settlements Minister Mbuyiseni is set to visit KwaZulu-Natal today following severe floods caused by heavy rains in the province. And Afriforum has raised concerns about the legal validity of the Hawks' investigation into high treason. With the news at 10, a very good morning to you. I'm Nyakalo Tefu. Human Settlements Minister Mbuyiseni is set to visit KwaZulu-Natal today following severe floods caused by heavy rains in the province. The extreme weather has left a trail of destruction, damaging properties, roads and key infrastructure. Authorities have confirmed fatalities while mop-up operations continue as officials assess the full extent of the damage. Many communities remain in distress and government is working to provide aid and relief to affected residents. KwaZulu-Natal Human Settlement spokesperson Ndabezinhle Sibia says efforts are underway to assist those impacted.
We are doing everything in our powers to provide a decent accommodation to the affected families. There are families, more than 21 families, that have been moved to a hotel, and there are many more other families that are in different accommodations in various parts of Tvet. But that is not enough. That is why we are looking at building permanent houses here at the back. We received all the necessary approvals so that we are able to build permanent houses for these affected families.
In other news, Afriforum has raised concerns about the legal validity of the Hawks' investigation into high treason, questioning the probe's legal foundation. This follows the Hawks' confirmation that they are investigating 4 high treason dockets related to allegations of a white genocide against farmers in South Africa. Now, these allegations, initially presented by Afriforum and the Solidarity Movement to U.S. President Donald Trump's administration, claim that the South African government under the leadership of the ANC is either allowing or even encouraging violence against farmers, particularly those of European descent. Afriforum and Solidarity have met with U.S. officials on multiple occasions, urging the Trump administration to intervene and hold the ANC accountable for what they describe as an ongoing crisis threatening Afrikaans-speaking farmers and their cultural heritage. Their concerns have also been linked to recent legislative developments, including the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act and the Expropriation Act. CEO Kali Kriel has been at the forefront of these efforts.
If the state, however, goes ahead with this, it will make us stronger. It would confirm the point that there are ANC leaders that are abusing their power to govern against certain sections of the population. It's also ludicrous because we have many ANC leaders implicated of corruption at the Zondo Commission, and the Hawks are not acting against them. Then secondly, if Afriforum has to be in court, it would of course also give us a platform to show the world and to show the country how the ANC leaders are acting against the interest of the country. They are disloyal. Afriforum, Solidarity and the Solidarity Movement are loyal.
The United States has paused military aid to Ukraine, a White House official confirmed on Monday, days after President Donald Trump clashed with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the Oval Office. It is understood the pause is part of a review to ensure the aid is contributing to a peaceful resolution. Bloomberg and Fox News report that the aid will remain on hold until Trump determines Ukraine's leadership is demonstrating a good faith commitment to peace. Trump reportedly ordered Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth to implement the pause. The decision comes just hours after Trump denied discussing a suspension of aid but suggested Zelensky should be more appreciative of U.S. support. Nearly 3 years into the war, Washington has committed billions in aid to Ukraine.
I want one thing to happen. I want all of those young people to stop being killed. They're being killed by the thousands every single week. President Zelensky supposedly made a statement today in AP. I'm not a big fan of AP, so maybe it was an incorrect statement, but he said he thinks the war's going to go on for a long time. And he better not be right about that. That's all I'm saying.
Let's return home. Limited resources and high patient volumes at public healthcare centres in Limpopo are among the province's biggest challenges in providing quality health services to residents. This was highlighted by the province's health MEC, Diketseng Mashego, who urged the incoming cohort of community service healthcare professionals and interns to embrace the province's challenges with resilience. Yesterday, the MEC welcomed over 600 new interns and professionals who will be deployed to various public healthcare centres across the province. She stated that the addition of these professionals to the system will help alleviate the pressure faced by many of the province's facilities.
The challenge may be great, from limited resources to high patient volumes, but every challenge is an opportunity for innovation, growth and impactful change. We have made great strides in our healthcare system, but challenges still persist. From maternal and child health issues to mental health resources, your skills and fresh perspectives are crucial to our vision of a healthier province. Your contribution can and will make a significant difference.
A look at your financial indicators. The rand is trading at 18 rand 59 cents to the US dollar, 23 rand 62 cents to the pound, 19 rand 51 cents to the euro. Gold's trading at $2,897.18 a fine ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $70.95 a barrel. Recapping the top story in News at this hour, Human Settlements Minister Thembi Simelane is set to visit KwaZulu-Natal today following severe floods caused by heavy rains in the province.
In power traffic, we start off in Houghton Estate. If you're traveling on the M1 South, there are roadworks that are on the go with traffic restrictions near the Houghton Drive exit, and those are causing delays that are just under 20 minutes from Corlett Drive heading towards the Kilani Benz area. Over in Four Ways, Winnie Mandela Drive is backed up in both directions as you're traveling towards the Leslie Avenue intersection. Southbound delays can be expected from Monte Casino Boulevard. If you're traveling on Jan Smuts Avenue and Craighall Park, traffic lights are out at Buckingham Avenue.
Power News. On FM, online, and DSTV channel 889. This is Power 98.7.
This is Power 98.7. And now you're listening to Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, 9 a.m. to midday, taking your calls on 0861 987 000.
If you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, and welcome to Power 98.7. We are having a conversation with the legends of 1996 and one of Africa's greatest strikers and a coach of note. I will say their names in a moment, but if you want to join the conversation, studio line is 0861987000. Send us voice notes on the WhatsApp line 083-303-7093. Join the conversation on all social media with the hashtag Power Talk. And this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. What does this remind you of?
And South Africa leading by 1-0. There's a spot forward. Beautiful tackle. Racing through, there's a great chance. That's it! Williams. 2 goals in 2 minutes. And this man remains remarkably calm. The substitute has had a glorious finish. It has put South Africa right out of sight. It's the kind of penetration they've lacked in the game. They found the defence flat, and the gamble of putting Williams on the field at a crucial time in the second half pays off in the most dramatic way.
We've got with us the legends of the AFCON 1996, the great captain Mukoko, Neil Tovey, who captained the team at that time. You would all remember the legendary moment when he carried the picture next to Utata Nelson Mandela. Welcome to Power Talk, Coach.
Yeah, very good morning to you guys.
Thank you very much. Morning. And we've got as well Mark Fish. Welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning, gentlemen. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me onto the Power FM. And yeah, good to see the skipper there on the other side. We live not too far away from each other, but if this is how we can see each other, then thank you for connecting us. Yeah, good morning, Fishy. Good morning, bud.
And then we've got as well, and congratulations are in order, Benni McCarthy, the new head coach of the Kenya national team. Welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. And just an absolute pleasure to share the stage with the wonderful captain, Neil. How are you, buddy? Yeah. And Fluffy,
very good. Benny's in the area. Let's make the circle bigger.
How about we start there, Fish? Your congratulations to him.
100%. Wishing Benny all the best with his new job, new venture. I'm sure he'll do himself, his family, and everyone proud. All South Africans proud, even though he's coaching the Kenyan national team. Wishing him all the best, and look forward to seeing Kenyan football excel under Benny and his technical team.
Coach?
I'll second that.
I'll second that,
and
very good wishes to you, Benny. Very good wishes to you. But if you ever need any help, I think we're only a phone call away. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, guys. Yep.
Yeah. We wish you the best. What are you gonna do when we play against you? Who are you gonna bet for?
Well, obviously, my heart is pure South African. But at the end of the day, when it comes to football, your loyalties lies with the team that you coach. And for me, then love for my country goes out the window. So my job is to fulfill and to succeed with Kenya, and that's what I will do. And I'm so sorry for the South Africa.
We release you because it's only for a moment. But we played a clip at the beginning of the show. You were not at the time part of this 1996 team that was captained by the great Neil Tovey. What did that moment do for you and your career?
Well, it gave me inspiration that the generation before me, that they're doing exceptionally well, they're excelling, and they put South Africa firmly on the map. So there's definitely an opportunity now for me to come up, because I was just a little bit younger than those guys, but watching them was just one of the proudest moments in football. And my hunger then and desire to become also to emulate what they did, that's what I wanted to do.
Lovely. And perhaps to start the conversation, I mean, taking into consideration what is happening in the country, first and foremost, Mokoko, you came from a generation that was struck by heavy racial differences, particularly in the sport. And there seemed to be a very, very coherent national project with the sport. It's very difficult now to imagine that South Africa, to imagine a South Africa where there was actually sport called soccer, football, in the white community. And there were white clubs, and there was actually a wide base of fans. It's very difficult because when you look at the stadiums now, whether it's the Soweto Derby, whether it's Mamelodi, Sundowns playing, the stadium is racially different. And the national project that you were involved in that tried to integrate those two worlds at the time, can you just walk us through, firstly, what was sports like in the white community before integration?
Yeah, look, first of all, you know, I was privileged, as I can say it, to play professional football in both eras. The one where it was apartheid, and then when we became a government of national unity, football was always about, and it still is about. It's in terms of young white players, because you bringing it up that white, you know, we are the white players, and the white players are about, but mainly from the younger ages, from 5 to 12 years old, and they're very, very evident, especially in the community where we are in Durban, and Fishy will allude to that because he's also got youngsters that are playing in those leagues. But they're very evident there. But when it comes to the high schools, we just we've lost our direction. You know, that's where rugby and cricket have got it really well sorted. Their infrastructure at high school level, they're giving bursaries to rugby players, giving bursaries to cricketers that are highly talented, and sportsmen that are highly talented. But you know, the case of bursaries going to football players is not quite there. So in some of the schools, and the infrastructures at high school, you know, and when I was at school, at high school, my high school never had a football team. My school never had a football team. It was rugby, but the local football infrastructure from a club perspective, was strong. But it's lost that now. So where do our players go? And they are highly talented. And when you get a talented player, he can undoubtedly play cricket, rugby. They can play most sports. Because they're ball orientated, and so. But they need that pathway through the high school process. They need that pathway, and I don't think it's as evident as what it should be.
But what about the fan base? How do you explain the sort of lingering and how it has deteriorated over the years, the sort of white fan base of football?
I think the fan base is there. It's just not evident to going to the stadiums.
I see.
I mean, the fan base is certainly there. Even from the perspective of all communities, you see the fans now don't flock to the stadiums. They can watch it. They can watch it on TV. So if you talk about fans at stadiums, yes, it's only the Derby, and a couple, 1 or 2 other fixtures that there are really high numbers. and certainly not close to what it was in the past.
Yeah.
So, so even those numbers have dwindled.
Fish, what do you have to say about that old South Africa, then and now, in terms of soccer being used to really coordinate racial integration? Your sense of the sort of white players on the one hand, on the other, the white fan base in the 80s, now in the 90s, and then now.
Okay, so I know I was part of the team, but always remember I was the youngest player, so I'm not as old as the captain.
That's true.
So he has a little bit more knowledge, even though I'm very grey. So obviously the demographics of South Africa changed, and growing up again, I am very much aware of the history of South Africa. But when I say football, and you talk about the different colors that we have or cultures, and playing football, it's always strange for people to hear me say it, but you didn't see or hear color.
Yeah.
When I say that, is that I played for a club, and my club was Arcadia Shepherd. So yes, obviously when I say I went to school, we didn't have black kids in our school, or Indians or colored, whichever way you want to look at it, or we weren't in their schools, however you looked at it. But playing football, we played together.
Yeah.
And at my club, growing up from the age of 10 until I left Arcadia Shepherds, I had players from different cultures, different backgrounds we played football, and that's what brought us together. So the fan base, did I ever look at Arcadia and the fans? The parents were always coming to watch, and then I stepped into Jomo Cosmos, my professional career, and going to play my first game in Vosloorus. So my background and experience is a little bit different than Neil's, but I think Neil also, we agree on that at the sense of we talk about it, but way football is structured, way sports was structured, football was structured then. The amateur, because a lot of schools didn't play football, the amateur leagues were very strong and very competitive, and that's where the professional teams got their players. But at the end of the day, I played football for a club, and on the field I was representing whichever player needed to represent my football club, which was Arcadia Shepherds at the time.
Yeah.
Nick, if I can just come in there.
Yeah, please do.
Yes, it was apartheid days when I was growing up, but I still, in the afternoons, went down to my local park, and I played football in that park. And I played with coloreds, Indians, blacks, and whites in that park in an afternoon after school. So yes, the infrastructures might not have been together, but there was certainly, I played from a young age, from 6, 7. I had friends and that were of different race. So and had that privilege also to play in the park with different races, which was I suppose gave me a little bit of insight into the future that was unbeknown to me.
Benny, I just want to bring you in now. Remember, we are on Power Talk, and you can join this conversation on WhatsApp 0833037093, and you can also call in 0861987000. Benny, soccer as a tool for social cohesion, to bring together people. I mean, for this generation, obviously, at the core was the racial lines. What is your take? What has been your experience in relation to the time in which you played? Did this magic of 1996 translate into bringing not just the players, but also the fans under a single roof and experiencing soccer together?
Oh, no, definitely. I think, like I said, I was probably just behind Fishy in years, so I never really experienced apartheid. So for me, it was just like when we played football, we didn't look at the race or the color or that. It was just a way of you know, us enjoying and being happy and being cheerful outside and, you know, working on our football skills, but having fun with your friends. So,
Yeah.
it was pretty mixed. It was pretty mixed. There was no animosity between any of the races because, football, like I said, football, not just football, but all sports were bringing kids and people together. So, for my version of South Africa was completely different. I think things were changing and it was getting better. And people were getting opportunities now to go abroad if you were good enough. So for me, I just look at it that way, that I want to be one of those players that when I'm a little bit older and good enough, that I can go and play my trade abroad because, that's where you saw, like, you know, if you were to embark on a fruitful career in football, then you need to go abroad. You need to go and play in England. You need to go and play in Spain or in Italy. And that was my way of how I wanted to succeed. And then, the guys of 96, they just really gave me that inspiration to really take my football serious and try and be the best at what I could possibly be because, they did it. They were the first team to qualify us for the World Cup, which was exceptional to watch them every international break because they were just a class above the rest. And then when they won the AFCON, and then you kind of sort of like how good you really have to become to be at the level that the Fishies, the Mark Williams, the Neil Toveys were playing. So the benchmark that they pushed for players like myself was incredible, and I will be forever grateful to those guys because they showed me the levels that you have to be to make it in football.
Coach, just before, we're going to try push the conversation to the sports, the soccer development now and the different problems of developing players, the resources. But before we go ahead, of course, South Africa's international controversy at the moment, Coach, is that there is this genocide unfolding against white people. And Afriforum is all over America campaigning. You were the captain in a South Africa that was not only transitioning in the most violent years, but also across the first president, Nelson Mandela, of a country in Africa. Just talk us through, the big understanding of that moment, because most of the people in the continent couldn't understand a white captain over, the South African national team, how that came about, and if you could, make a statement in relation to what Afriforum is saying about racial tensions in the country.
Yeah, I was, but as I said, I played my first years professionally with Durban City, and then AmaZulu. So AmaZulu is a traditional black team, and that was in the 80s. So I was already encapsulated within the game of football. And as Fishy and Benny have mentioned, that when it came to football, it was a release for all South Africans. The fans could release themselves and go and watch the matches and really enjoy a weekend where they weren't going to be victimized or whatever to that certain degree. And then when we got the opportunity to play in international football, I was already in the structures and I was then at Chiefs, which as you know, is a multiracial, multicultural team. And why would there be any different with our national team? Yes, a very, very new national team, but leaders are leaders, and there was yes, I was the figurehead, but there was lots of leaders in our team. I mean, Lucas, John Boetes, all of them were captains, and C's were captains, and Daniel Madow's were captains at their own teams.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge for me as a captain, when we first got the opportunity to play international football, was changing the mindsets of the players from one of playing for Pirates, playing for Chiefs, playing for Sundowns, because that had to change. And now we were a complete national team. And once that sort of ideology changed from the players' perspective, that we weren't in our clumps and groups and that type of thing, that was the primary task of myself that I saw. My challenge was that. Not the ability of players and bringing them together and leading them. That was all good. It was bringing together those mindsets, and not only from the players' perspective.
Yeah,
you could identify even the fans when you played your first matches. The Pirates fans would identify with the Pirates players, and the Chiefs fans with the Chiefs players, Sundowns and all alike. They still had their synergy with the national team, but with their own players.
Yeah.
But that could only change from success. The more success we got as a national team, suddenly the fish was loved by the Chiefs fans and all the different fans.
Yes.
And that's what was needed. And once that changed, then we really, were really, it came really good for South Africa and the fans in that perspective.
I'm going to take the headlines. If you just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. I've got the legends of our country's football history. Please stay with us. Let's take the headlines with Nyakalo Tifu.
Thanks, Mbuyiseni. Good morning. In news-making headlines at this hour, the city of Johannesburg has expressed concern over South Africans supporting foreign nationals who operate businesses without necessary permits. This comes after a clean-up campaign in the CBD led by Mayor Dada Morero, MMC Nomoya Mnisi, and city officials aimed at restoring order in taxi ranks and business precincts. Authorities have stressed that all traders must have proper certification to operate legally. The city has also stated that enforcement efforts will continue to ensure compliance with business regulations.
Traders here who do not have the necessary permits, but they are aided and paid. They are aided by South African citizens who are giving them the stalls. We are going to close those stalls that do not comply with our laws after we have identified all of them. That's why we are here today. And the idea is to empower all the small businesses to ensure that their businesses can thrive. We are going to stop all those that are selling outside because they are disturbing the legitimate business inside. So bylaw enforcement will be here full force from Monday to ensure that all those that are trading illegally outside of the rank we are dealt with, and we are going to deal with them decisively.
In other news, the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements has urged the National Department, along with its stakeholders, to expedite the unlocking of the Emergency Housing Response Fund to assist those affected by the ongoing floods in KwaZulu-Natal. This comes in the wake of recent floods that have claimed more than 20 lives in the last 2 months. During an oversight visit in October, the committee expressed concerns about delays in accessing the fund for flood victims, stressing that these delays should be removed to ensure swift assistance to those in need. In a briefing this past weekend, MEC for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Reverend Thulasizwe Buthelezi, cautioned residents of the affected areas against building houses in low-lying areas. More on these and other stories at 11.
Power traffic.
A very good morning to you once again. Let's check out what's happening in your roads. Starting off in Albertina, if you're traveling on the R59 South, you can expect queuing traffic as you're traveling past Michelle Avenue. Those delays are just under 10 minutes heading towards the Swartkopis Road intersection. If you are in Edenvale and traveling on the R24 westbound, as you're passing Edenvale Road, you'll bump into that congestion. It's headed towards the Gululis interchange. The N12 westbound is slow as well. from Edenvale Road approaching the Kalulis interchange. If you are traveling on the M1 southbound as you're headed past the Houghton Estate towards Parktown, you'll bump into some delays between Glenhove and the Killarney Bends area. Traffic lights in Melville are out at Thomas Bola and Beas Nordier Drive. Those traffic lights also out in Craigall at Buckingham and Jan Smuts Avenue. As you're traveling further along Jan Smuts, those lights are out at the 6th Road intersection. In Melrose, they're out at Corlett and Atho Oaklands Road, as well as in Bryanston, that's at Karen and Peter Place. And that's it from me this morning. You can expect your next traffic update this afternoon on the Power Drive. For Power Traffic, I'm Lebohang Pukela.
Power Traffic.
The G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group technical meeting has kicked off in the Western Cape. From March 3rd to 5th, global leaders are convening to tackle critical anti-corruption strategies. Discussions will focus on 3 key areas: strengthening public sector integrity, enhancing asset recovery, and promoting inclusive participation. This meeting marks a key step towards global accountability. A message brought to you by the Department of Public Service and Administration.
Power Breakfast on Power 98.7.
One of the things about this democracy I've been saying in the last year or so is that we cannot afford to give up on the government and the state working. And so, yes, we can talk about the role of the private sector and private-public partnership, but not in the name of having a state that is decapacitated to do the basics. Schools, basics. Water, basics. We can't be going around and just saying, you know, the private sector will step in everywhere. We must make government work.
Power Breakfast with Tessa Dooms, weekdays 6 to 9 a.m.
Power Breakfast is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Stay informed. Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, 9 a.m. to midday on Power 98.7.
We're back on Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. We're with Neil Tovey, Mark Fish, and Benni McCarthy having a conversation that is both nostalgic and trying to push to a future. Fish, a big question that is circulating here, and I'm about to take calls, but that team of 1996 and a lot of the generation from before, the coach was mentioning the facilities, but generally it wasn't a sport at the time that was as financed as what we see now. And yet you guys played excellent football. Was it the money? Was it the passion? What's wrong with the current generation when it's properly resourced and we're not seeing them deliver what you did?
Well, I think we know the generation then, the desire to, and I think Benny touched on the desire to see yourself playing for your country. You knew you had to play outside your country and you had to go play in the bigger leagues in Europe. And, you know, for the likes of Neil and the generations before, they unfortunately didn't have the opportunity to go abroad to do that. Football has changed. It certainly has evolved a lot. As you touched on there about maybe fans going to the stadiums, fans are able to watch it on television. There's so much happening on the outside in football where, to say that they're not delivering, we know they haven't. But I'm going to focus on what they are doing at the moment. We have a Bafana team that is doing very well. They have a coach that came in and had to get rid of a lot of things that it was inbred in that national team. And I think he's done that now. Mm-hmm. Now I think he's selecting the best possible players that are available for him. And we are seeing a Bafana team. And I say that because I was very fortunate to be in the stadium in the last AFCON when we beat Morocco, to see the players and what they achieved and how they were unified and brought together as a family. And what Hugo Broos and how he looked at his players and how the players looked at him was very similar to what I experienced in '96 with myself, Neil, and our team with Clive Barker, the late Clive Barker. So let's focus on what they are doing. Like they're They're doing well in the World Cup qualifiers. That we've qualified for the AFCON. We're moving forward. To talk about the past, we keep talking about past, but it's done. There's nothing we can talk about. We are moving in the right direction at the moment, and I think the players realize that what they achieved in Ivory Coast, they need to try and better. Certainly, try and better going to Morocco to the AFCON, and then one of the most important things, obviously, is to make sure that they qualify for the World Cup, because once we are doing that, then we are stamping our authority in African football again, saying that we are one of the forces to be reckoned with on the continent, and then they can go showcase and have the experience of playing in a World Cup, which is 2026 in America, Mexico, and Canada. So we are moving forward. Let's focus on moving forward. And at the moment, they are doing exactly what we achieved many years ago.
Yeah.
We are old now, as you can see. Me and Neil really losing all his hair. You haven't asked Neil what he does now. He plays bowls. So he's playing bowls.
I'll do that in a moment.
So let them focus on what they can do and let them go out and do, make themselves proud, because I think we are moving in the right direction at the moment.
Benni, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that. But, I mean, for you specifically, I mean, you coached the striking force in Manchester United, and there's generally been a sense that the strikers are on strike, I mean, in the last few decades. What is your take of the current generation? I can't say you were as underprivileged or you played in an era of underprivilege in terms of resources. I mean, you're a shining star. You went abroad. What is your take of the current state, money or passion?
Me, I echo exactly what Fishy is saying there. He's saying that the past is the past and we have to leave it there, and we have to just focus and be positive on going forward. The current Bafana squad and the coaching staff, they're doing incredibly well, and they're making South Africa proud, and it looks like we might be back. And all that's needed is to go out there, Morocco, AFCON 26, the boys do well again like they did in Ivory Coast, and then to try and qualify the country for the World Cup, because we've been starved. We were the last generation to play in the World Cup where we had to qualify, and that was Japan and Korea, and that was 2002, a really, really long time ago. So now that should be the sole purpose of the country's focus, is to help push the boys to go on there. But yeah, I think the only difference now and then is the social media. I think we didn't play in a generation where social media was as brutal as it is. So I think, yeah, with the scrutiny, the amount of mental health that goes around in football, we've never dealt with that, because we were from a different generation. We seen apartheid. So wherever we went, whatever got thrown back at us, we could handle that, because we seen what was before us, how South Africa was. So, we weren't faced by what we see. But now this generation is completely different. And I think social media is really dampening sports. But, yeah, even so, the boys are doing exceptionally well.
We've got Max Maponyane on the line, who is calling in, and I want to bring him in on... it's a very passionate subject amongst the fans, soccer now and soccer then, and the resource that has been put in. The money has certainly improved, the resources have improved, and I don't know, Ntate Maponyane, what is your take on this conversation? Welcome to Power Talk.
Thank you, and thanks for making me part of this STEAM panel. Dr. Ndlozi.
Yes, Papa.
Or should I say Mbuyiseni?
Both. Anything.
The gentlemen have said a mouthful in terms of not even comparing the two, the then and the now. And it's always a case when, and I like the sentiments of Benni, that it's always awkward when I'm asked, what's the difference between then and now? Why are the youngsters today not performing? And I'm thinking, but they are performing. Maybe it's because you're comparing standards. Remember, with us, there were no standards to compare to. And the thing is, they are under pressure because of one thing that I'm sure the gentlemen will agree with me. there's one word that is lacking: consistency. There is no consistency. And what makes or made those players of the past so successful and famous is because they were consistent in what they were doing. And you would always go to a derby, Chiefs and Pirates as an example, and you know that you rattle names of players to go and watch. Even if you are a Pirates fan, you'll be looking forward to be watching one or two famous Chiefs players. But nowadays you go to F&B and you want to watch Chiefs and Pirates. And it's the names of the teams, not the players. And that's where the difference came in. And the difference was brought by the fact of lack of consistency. And Benny will tell you that every time when you're not consistent, you get what Manchester
What
is giving
affects
today.
this consistency, though? Why are they not consistent?
It goes back to social media and lifestyle, where you mingle too much with people who tell you how good you are, and then you respond to social media, and you don't focus on what you should do next. The thing that I've picked up also is when you talk technology, is that yesteryear, Neil will tell you that, and I'll never forget how he would have a full go, and people don't believe this, he would have a full go at Dr. Khumalo. I mean, Doctor was the star of the team, but Neil would not want to be even on his side when it comes to training. He says, no, I don't want someone who's messing around with the ball. He would want goals. He was a winner, you know. And then you get a situation where that consistency is not brought about, that winning spirit. There's no communication. There's no dying for it. We would be talking about the game post that game immediately, by the way. And nowadays is all those headphones. That's where the technology comes in that Benny talked about. I think the last time Benny would talk to Rashford would be at training, but not on the way to the game, because that's the time when the guy is being fashionable and the headset and listening to music. And that's not how it works. You cannot start communicating or calling my name on the field when you need the ball, when we should be talking about how so-and-so was or is going to be approaching the defense. You know, we would be talking about how to unlock this defender. Oh, I know so-and-so, he's strictly left-footed. Try to go to his right foot first and lock him on the left, turn that way before the game. And all that you've been talking about, you verbalize it and then you actualize it on the game. That's the bottom line.
If you've just joined us now, this is Power Talk on Power 98.7. We're having a conversation with Benni McCarthy, Max Maponyane, Neil Tovey, and Mark Fish. Lucas in Centurion, you've been holding for a while. The legends are listening.
How are you guys, the legends of the game? What an interesting topic, you know. I want to check from the legends there. Because politics are always going to be there. Politics have been there, and they are always going to be there. You know, for now, I think we need to forget about politics. Let's take the politics aside and concentrate on the basics. The basics can be school football. What's the calendar out there? If you look at the very same people that are on the platform now, that are the guests there, they've been groomed from the school level. Maxfi's Pretoria boys, he knows how good they were. You know, but Max Maponyane from Soweto, they used to be, schools used to be part of development. But nowadays, if you look at the parties involved, they are not committed because teachers are no more taking charge at the school level. And you ask yourself, what's the calendar? Why township football, township schools are no more part of football? But if you go to the Model C schools, they have calendars and they can appoint a sports person who's going to be involved in terms of sports, covering all sports codes. Why at our township there's nothing like that?
Thank you. Thank you, Lucas. Sorry about that. Let's take Jonas in Mametlake. Jonas, welcome to Power Talk.
thank you very much. Let me call you MN because we've got TT and TK and CC, you name it.
Okay.
From now, from kickoff, now, I'm saying MN. You know, let me start by saying Abraham Lincoln. I'm quoting here.
Yeah.
The best thing about the future is that it comes one day at a time.
Yeah.
The three generation of the late Nelson Mandela, Fish from Victoria, Neil Tovey, and Benni McCarthy. Abraham Lincoln, they said, because 2 days ago when you are hitting the coach, you are out of South Africa. Benni McCarthy is no longer here. But in short, I was your generation, guys. I've got a picture right in front of me of you. Why? The generation, you were the first generation, and the pressure was on. I know why. Ubaba Mandela, the late Mandela. He was everything for our national team. He was everything to the national team. Therefore, what was in your mind? We don't want to let him down. The only president who visit the team and say, guys, do your best, be proud of South Africa.
Thank you.
So, I was carrying my camera in front of you. I just watched a fish picture here. Running, pull his t-shirt out, he's running next to the bar line. I've got your picture. If you want to call me, my fish. Neil Tovey.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bryanston and Bryanston, Dr. Tirani Mabunda, the legends are listening. Welcome to Power Talk.
Hi, thanks a lot. I know Lucas said we must leave the politics aside, but I liked what you were doing by juxtaposing sports with politics and where you were bringing in Afriforum.
Yeah.
Now, I once was a chairperson of the Auctioneering Association in South Africa in 2009, and Invictus came out. And I start hearing my members raving about Invictus in the boardroom when we're having a meeting.
Yeah, we need a movie about Mukuku and Madiba. Yeah, they only got a rugby Hollywood movie, and they've left us. I mean, that's a very good observation. Yeah.
But why I bring that analogy is the fact that my colleagues in the board were predominantly white. As you know, the auction industry is predominantly white. So they were excited about the entertainment value and the fact that Mandela was supporting the Springboks and using it to build the Rainbow Nation and the euphoria of sports. And when we win in 96, everyone is united. But it fizzles out and it doesn't become the nation-building activity that it should. And the main reason being that I think with Invictus in particular, because they said I should watch it. I went to watch. When I gave them feedback, my feedback, which is my input in your show, is the fact that our counterparts, which brings in Afriforum now, our counterparts, this reconciliation project have not taken it beyond even some of these things that unite us. They select, particular in the economy, then all of a sudden the reconciliation doesn't become like all the other aspects of our human life. That is what I thought. It's something that needs to be used.
Thank you.
To extend this thing.
Thank you, Tirani. Thank you very much. Fish, your reaction to the sentiments of the callers?
No, again, I mean, everyone's quite nostalgic about the past, and I just reiterated. I focus on how going forward and how football. We were very fortunate at the time, and when you talk about how the opportunity of football and where it's played, and we talk about Model C schools, we talk about private schools. Football is football, and when you touch on unfortunately, when we keep touching on the the past, we talk about the history of South Africa. We all know the history of South Africa.
Yeah.
But I'm in the forefront of moving forward. And if it's on the football field, we can showcase what we have on the football field. The stadiums can see what this country is all about. And again, we saw that at the last AFCON. We will see it again at this next AFCON, because I'm pretty sure that our national team will do us very proud there. And
I think
which is obviously the rugby team that has done so much for our country. And I think our football team is moving in the same and right direction. And I will just focus on that and make sure that what we're doing on the football field, what we're doing in the stadium, that it emulates outside the stadium.
Yeah. I think we've got a connection problem
there. On Power FM, we are making that statement that we are in this together.
Thank you, Fish. Coach, in short, the worry is that this project that the 1996 team represented is under threat. National reconciliation, and there is efforts to pull the country apart by claims that white people are under a genocidal attack. And I think that's why this nostalgia comes back to people. But you know, I won't restrict what you have to respond on, but I'm just saying that's what the nostalgia basically rests on. What do you have to say to the callers, Coach?
You know, I'm not one for those type of comments. I'm one, and like Fisher's reiterating, is moving forward. I'm busy as Fisher's with other projects. And I think it was Lucas who was talking about schools football.
Yeah.
And in the townships, you know, leagues and competitions should be played so that it forms a base of development.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more. I'm actually in a position now where I'm busy with a project where I coach the coaches, school coaches, and you know, we want, but we need the support of business and of corporates to help sustain those programs, you know, so that you can go out and get the knowledge of what it is to be a coach and all that with the school teachers, so that they can then learn how do you set up leagues within your community, because Lucas was alluding to that there was no competitive leagues being played, and that. So that in our program, we talk about it, not just the principles of defending and attack and transition and that, but we also tend to work with, you know, how do you set up league structures and competitive structures within your community. Also gender-based violence with the youngsters and what to look out for. So that's what we kind of look into as past players, and we have a number of people in that infrastructure with Doc, Sean Bartlett, Andre Orense, himself, and Fishy has his own projects, which he's really doing well in getting the competitive nature with young kids going. So, yeah, that's basically where we are. We're not politicians.
Got you. Dr. Maponyan.
But Neil was just saying, we always are for, and if you listen to all the guys on the panel, we're all doing something or striving to change the lives of the youngsters and get them to focus on the game itself. I mean, I'm sitting with a project now that is structured but not financed, because finance is a problem. You talk to 10 people and you get nothing from any of the 10. So that's on the strikers development. So that's the passion that I have. And I spoke to Benny in the past. He knows that we've been in touch while he was with Manu. So it just shows you that we need to change the current situation by simply getting that carrot, dangling that carrot, by getting the players to be, or the academies to be associated with outside, like your Spanish teams and Italian teams, and take the players there. Then the others see that they can also change, because this is not like our days where it was doom and gloom and you don't know what's the future. Now you know that your life can be changed by just playing overseas.
Thank you so much. An hour is never enough, particularly when you are getting a conversation going with the legends. I really appreciate the time that you've given us, Coach Mark Fish, Benny. We wish Benny well in Kenya, and I wish you the best with all the efforts that you are putting into soccer development. I hope that all the big guys with the big monies are listening to support you so that soccer can go forward. The sentiment generally is we focus on the game. Thank you very much. It's time for the news with Nyakalo Tifu.
The G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group technical meeting has kicked off in the Western Cape. From March 3rd to 5th, global leaders are convening to tackle critical anti-corruption strategies. Discussions will focus on 3 key areas: strengthening public sector integrity, enhancing asset recovery, and promoting inclusive participation. This meeting marks a key step towards global accountability. A message brought to you by the Department of Public Service and Administration.
Power News.
The top stories at this hour. The Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements has urged the National Department to expedite the unlocking of the Emergency Housing Response Fund to assist those affected by the ongoing floods in KZN. And residents of the Pumla Mqashi informal settlement near Lenasia have vowed to continue their protest until the ongoing water crisis in the area is addressed. With the news at 11, a very good morning to you. I'm Nyakalo Tefu. The Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements has urged the National Department, along with its stakeholders, to expedite the unlocking of the Emergency Housing Response Fund to assist those affected by the ongoing floods in KwaZulu-Natal. This comes in the wake of recent floods that have claimed more than 20 lives in the last 2 months. During an oversight visit in October, the committee expressed concerns about delays in accessing the fund for flood victims, stressing that these delays should be removed to ensure swift assistance to those in need. In a briefing this past weekend, MEC for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Reverend Thulasizwe Buthelezi, cautioned residents of the affected areas against building houses in low-lying areas. Power News reporter Zulbanzima Ziboko has more.
As the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements expressed its condolences to those who lost their lives in the floods, it emphasized that in times of crisis, government must avoid delays and disputes. The committee expressed hope that the National Department's recent changes to fund implementation will improve the response to the affected families in KwaZulu-Natal. The committee says delays such as beneficiary verification and house damage assessments, which used to take 10 to 12 months or longer, should no longer occur. Additionally, it called for stricter monitoring of building standards to ensure that homes can withstand disasters. It emphasized the importance of using strong materials and conducting regular inspections. Zwelibanzi Mazibugo, Power News.
The city of Johannesburg has expressed concern over South Africans supporting foreign nationals who operate businesses without the necessary permits. This comes after a clean-up campaign in the CBD led by Mayor Dada Morero, MMC Nomoya Mnisi, and city officials aimed at restoring order in taxi ranks and business precincts. Authorities have stressed that all traders must have proper certification to operate legally. The city has also stated that enforcement efforts will continue to ensure compliance with business regulations.
Traders here who do not have the necessary permits, but they are aided and paid. They are aided by South African citizens who are giving them the stalls. We are going to close those stalls that do not comply with our laws after we have identified all of them. That's why we are here today. And the idea is to empower all the small businesses to ensure that their businesses can thrive. We are going to stop all those that are selling outside because they are disturbing the legitimate business inside. So bylaw enforcement will be here full force from Monday to ensure that all those that are trading illegally outside of the rank we are dealt with, and we are going to deal with them decisively.
Meanwhile, Operation Dudula plans to take President Cyril Ramaphosa to court to force him to set up a commission of inquiry into the deaths of 22 children who ate snacks from spaza shops. At a press briefing yesterday in Orlando, Soweto, the group expressed frustration that an inquiry was launched into the fire at the Usindiso building in Johannesburg, but not into the children's deaths. Since its start, Operation Dudula has opposed businesses run by undocumented foreign nationals and say it aims to enforce legal compliance at foreign-owned spaza shops and other businesses. Dudula is now pursuing legal action to make Ramaphosa establish an inquiry into the children's death from foodborne illnesses, as it announced a partnership with the Professional Unity of South Africa, a group of advocates to help guide their legal efforts. Here's Dudula's Tami Madondo.
The office of the president has been served. They've responded. We are going to court. I just need to get the date of the court from our legal arm. But yes, the president has been served. He needs to take the responsibility, because we've been saying this for the longest time. And we're not too sure because, unfortunately, the political will, it's not there to change the status quo in the country. And he's amongst those that needs to account. So with the relationship that we are forming, we've formed with PROFSA, we are going to take people into task. And we will make sure that the laws of this country are upheld.
And residents of the Pumla Mqashi informal settlement near Lenasia have vowed to continue their protests until the ongoing water crisis in the area is addressed. The community has been without a reliable water supply for days, prompting protesters to take to the streets as they barricaded Johannesburg's Golden Highway with rocks, forcing motorists to find alternative routes. The residents say that they want representatives from water and sanitation
I think I'm a hard worker genuinely from school. Yes, it was not all in my plan, but I just felt this passionate and finally I made it.
And how did it come about? Did you actually decide you wanted to enter this competition, you heard about it, or did your school put you forward?
No, I heard and I wanted to enter it. I heard and I wanted to enter it. I went to competitions and at school I won. I took first place until I came to the provincial part. I took first to the whole South Africa.
Unbelievable. Now, your surname, Ndlozi, is obviously Zulu.
Yes.
English is what language? How many languages do you speak?
I speak probably 2 languages or 3 languages. It's my mother tongue, which is Zulu, and I'm studying Sotho at school, and then English, my second language.
English is your second language.
Yes.
And how are you doing in Sotho?
I'm doing very well. Very well.
And what is very well?
No, I'm doing good.
How important do you think it is, though, for people to be able to speak English properly?
I think association brings assimilation. If you
say that again, association brings
assimilation. If you associate with people who talk English too much and not to maybe speak perfect English, you will talk or speak perfect English.
But you obviously don't speak English at home.
Yes, but many times my friends at home, sometimes at church, speak English.
And what school are you at?
In Khutotaro, Zone 3, Sebokeng.
So you're not at an English school, well, you're not at you're in a township school?
Yeah, it's a township school.
Tell us what you had to do in order to win this competition. Did you have a prepared speech, an unprepared speech? How did it work?
I had a prepared speech. I entitled it, What's Life Without the Purpose? And then for the first time at the unprepared speech, they gave me to talk on the topic light.
Light?
Yes.
And how much time are you given to prepare then for your unprepared
I'm
speech?
given 2 minutes to prepare and then 2 minutes to speak.
Okay.
Stay informed. Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, 9 a.m. to midday on Power 98.7.
Welcome to Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, and I think you all know what that was about. I think you all know what was that about, and we've got with us the legendary Tracy Going.
Mbuyiseni, I can't believe that you've actually invited me back after 23 years. Here we sit, a lot older, a lot maturer, but we're still youthful, aren't we?
Yeah. You still feel youthful.
I still feel youthful. Might not look it, but I still feel it. But that interview, were you not too cute?
I don't know. It's very difficult for me to listen to it or to look at it. But did it mean anything to you?
Well, of course, I remember the interview.
I was
you were
16, turning 17.
I know,
yeah.
And you were so cute, and you were so eloquent, and you were so hopeful, and you just won this unbelievable award. And it was, how can I forget an interview like that? But I just want to tell you that I'm not surprised that it sort of stuck around, and it stuck around because of you, not because of me, the interview, and it keeps popping up, and every time I get messages from people all over the country saying you're trending again, and I'm like, oh yes, it's the Mbuyiseni interview. And I was driving here in the Uber, and Tapelo, the Uber driver, he looks at me, he says to me, it's you doing the interview with Ndlozi. He says, my wife and I were talking about it last night, and he said, I showed my wife that interview, and we were talking about it. He says, I can't believe I'm actually just dropping you off at Power FM.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, at the time, obviously, the roles were reversed, and you were on the other side, and you were definitely one of the most recognizable faces in the country, delivering the news, facilitating conversation with a great vuyo. And where have you been since?
Where have I been? Oh, I'm very much around, much around. It sort of struck me the irony of thinking back to that interview with you and I was sitting on the side of you as well.
It's true.
We're sitting in exactly the same position.
It's true, yeah.
No, I've been around. I've been writing, making documentaries. Yes, no, I'm sort of quietly in the background. I did take a lot of time out to sort of be mum. And I was very lucky to be able to do that. But I think I was very careful and strategic about sort of keeping one foot in the door, and not sort of closing myself off as a woman who takes time out of her career to look after her children. But I really want. I'm hoping you're going to be talking about that fabulous interview.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'll tell you what it did for me. So I'm young. I'm from Everton Central, and the big perception at the time with the elderly people was if you can speak English, you're really smart. So there I was. I walk into studio. I was really thinking Vuyo is going to interview me, and then the interview is conducted by you. And we come to that moment. You're like asking about English, and I'm like, association brings assimilation. It became a buzz because my grandmother, my uncles were like, yeah, you know, he spoke better English than a white woman. Because you're like, excuse me, what?
It was profound. And in fact, still have to think about the meaning of it, you know, because it was sort of a powerful sentence. Association by assimilation.
Association brings assimilation. Because I was trying to make a point that, I can speak English because I'm always hanging around people who deploy the English language. And that's why I'm able to sort of speak it. And we quickly moved to the centrality of English to success. But that was a big thing when I went back home in the township that
you made this profound statement.
And you like they're like,
I was flustered by it. But I mean, you were so eloquent. I mean, there was a reason that you won the Communicator of the Year award.
Yeah.
So you've still got the award.
I do. I thought of bringing it, but it's too sentimental.
It's too sentimental, and you don't want it going missing.
It reminds me of my mom, of my grandmother in particular who passed on.
And you won 10,000 Rand. What did you do with that?
School. I went to Wits with it. That's the money I used to go to Wits. And the video was resurfaced by Aldrin St-Pierre and Sophie Mokoena at the SABC on the occasion of my PhD graduation. They pulled it up, put it on YouTube, and I remembered, and that's how it came back into circulation, as it were.
And then it keeps popping up all the time.
It does.
I mean, every year. It's
Today, it's back.
It's back.
Because I'm on the other side.
Incredible. And
you gotta give me advice. What does it mean to be a broadcaster?
Well, it's interesting because I watched that interview obviously many times. And in fact, I was at the art fair in Cape Town a week ago, and someone came up to me. She said to me, "Listen, I just want to tell you, I've got a video." I said, "Don't tell me it's the Mbuyiseni video." So this is now twice in 1 week, and then you phone me, or your producer phones me, and I've watched that video a lot. Aside from the fact that you were so cute and charming.
Thank you.
I think, it was also, it just sort of reinforced the whole thing about the value of broadcasting and also trying to bring out the best, as a broadcaster, trying to bring out the best in your guest, that you're not there as a celebrity, but your role is facilitator and to bring out the best in your guest. And you were young. You would have been nervous.
Was it difficult?
To bring out the best in you? Not at all. No, because you were so...
Just news.
No, not at all. You were there to talk, and you just won this award, and you were excited. But you don't always get guests that are that giving of themselves, you know. And as a broadcaster, you want to sort of bring out the best in someone.
I see. What would, in your memory, would have been the most excruciating interview? I mean, the most difficult.
I have interviewed someone who insisted, he was actually a judge, and he was insisting on being on air because he was doing some commission of inquiry or something, and he wanted to put forward his side of the argument, and he sort of sat down opposite me and we started asking about it, and he kept saying, "Oh, I'm unable to comment. No comment, no comment." Well, eventually I was like, well, okay, well, thanks very much for coming. End of interview, because you're not prepared to comment on anything, you know. So, and you do get people who do give you monosyllabic answers, and of course you need to, I find that making eye contact really helps. You know, if you look someone in the eye when you talk to them, they forget.
It can be intimidating.
Well, not really. Well, they then forget about the surroundings. They forget that there are cameras all around them, or microphones. If you really sort of look them in the eye and connect, you know. But I think, I mean, you've just started broadcasting now.
Jesus.
And it's interesting because then you decide, what kind of broadcaster do you want to be?
Did you go to school? Like, were
Well,
you
I hope I went
trained
to school.
for broadcasting? That is, like, did you get some training, some preparation?
No, I'd started behind the scenes and had been producing music videos, and I was working on a music show, and Lawrence Dube was on Metro FM and to me, don't you want to come and read the news for me? And that's how I started. And I sort of ran along to Metro and started on the news. Of course, you just had Mark Smopanyani on your show, and he was a sports presenter and I was the news presenter. So we worked together for many years, and that's really how it started, and then started with voice work and ended up in TV. But I think for me, it was always important to be a broadcaster,
I'm told at some point you were called Mother Africa or something by people in Soweto. Do you recall that?
Yes. Sibongile Mahamba was the name that the late Bob Mabena gave to me.
I see. Why? Why did they?
I don't know.
Because many people, I know this, the screen, Tracy Going in the morning. Very pretty, strikingly pretty.
Oh,
You're still very pretty.
Still so charming. You see,
it's an objective fact. But so you broadcasted as well during sort of on Morning Live. Which years were these?
I was there from 1999 to long time ago, 2004, I think.
I see. Who's the biggest personality you ever interviewed on TV? That is?
Larry King. Yeah, of course, Mandela. A few times.
We're going to start with Larry. How did that go?
Oh, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. But he was slick, you see.
He was in the country.
He was in the country.
I see.
And I interviewed him. That was an exciting interview. I'm trying to think who else I interviewed.
What was the conversation about with Larry King?
I actually spoke to him quite a bit about women because he'd been married 8 times. I think he was quite taken aback by it.
But what was he in the country for? Not looking for a woman, of course.
No. I can't even remember. But I was fascinated because I was presented with research for him, and the research was inches thick. And he had listed every single interview he'd been on, every single advert he'd been in, every single movie he'd featured in, just vaguely in the background on a TV screen. I was completely fascinated that he documented his own life so intensively. But he was interesting to interview.
If you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. We are having a reunion after 23 years with the legendary Tracy Going. So I'm Madiba. When he was no longer president.
I'm trying to think, was he still president?
Well, after 1999, obviously. Or maybe in 1999, I don't know.
I just remember Vuyo and I going to his house here in Houghton and having breakfast with him, and that was unbelievable. Yes, he was a man. He actually wasn't that easy to interview because he didn't suffer fools lightly.
He didn't suffer fools.
No.
What does that mean? You certainly were not 2 fools walking in Madiba's kitchen to have breakfast.
I remember asking him the question. What would he have done differently? Sort of looking back if he had to redo his presidency, And I remember him actually getting quite irritated with that question, and then found out years later that was one question he didn't like,
Oh, wow.
he wasn't interested in that. He wanted to sort of look forward and look ahead, and, things that had happened.
Christ, your memory of the interview with Madiba is that you irritated him. Some could say that part of the job is to irritate people.
Perhaps, but I should have probably been a little bit better prepared.
What then would have been that moment in your career where criticism was particularly disorganizing for you?
I think one of the things, and I think this would be something that someone would say to you as well, is when you start broadcasting, don't listen to the criticism, or be selective as to who you listen to, because lots of people have lots of opinions, and that can be destructive. So I think be selective about where you take criticism from. But I think you've been in politics long enough.
That's just criticism all the time.
You know what criticism is.
That's just criticism all the time.
Even our interview, I remember you being called out for saying poverty is a state of mind.
Oh, yeah.
And How do you feel about that now? Yeah, no, okay, I'm going to start interviewing
Jesus, yeah. This keeps happening, where you somehow turn the tables back. But
it's
no,
interesting to unpack that because you actually quantified it soon after in the interview, and you said about positivity, and I thought that was interesting because poverty of the mind could also be a lack of positivity. It's not just poverty is a state of mind. Poverty is not necessarily financial.
Mm-hmm.
You were called out because it was something that people could call you out on.
I think, because firstly, when people disagree with what I say or what I said, it means there's a debate. It means there is a discourse. The only hope in life, the only hope I have in life is that it is pitched at a level that advances levels of consciousness. It means you help somebody do a thinking. And I think the criticism as well, secondly, came from, the circles of people who were thinking about what I was advocating at the time, which was materialism, that we first eat before we think. We first have to be raised as babies, that is material conditions on the ground are important. A lot of people who are privileged don't have to apply their minds a lot. They grow up in a lot of privilege, and in that sense, that they marshal as evidence against the statement. But us who come from very difficult conditions, we often have to have very strong minds, have to have strong positive thinking to push against all the conditions that say we will not get out of the pit. And that's what the statement really represented at the time.
And do you still feel the same way about it?
Yeah, I do. What does
I
it
agree
mean?
with you.
What does it mean for you?
No, I think it's not. I think it was easy to construe it as financial, meaning poverty, which is probably in a way what you did.
I needed the statement at the time.
Yes.
I needed to think like that in order to show up for an exam, whether it was tough or not, whether we had food or not. I needed to show up for the exam despite the distance that it took to go to school. And that needs a lot of psychological energy and
grit and
positive
determination.
Thinking. Yes, that's what
I think. But I think if you look at successful people, I think without a doubt they have made a decision to move out from where they were and become successful, and they're determined about it and dogmatic about it. So I think there is truth in what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were definitely not saying that because someone is poor, it's because they're there because they can't think out of it. That's not what it means. Because that would be unfair, and that's not true anyway. But it was an interesting statement, and obviously because of the interview and because it keeps coming up in my life, I have followed your career, and I'm so excited for you that you're in broadcasting because I just think that this is where you should be. I know I'm not supposed to be interviewing.
You really think so?
I know
Everyone keeps saying that.
No, I'm not supposed to be interviewing you, but can I ask how you feel about having left politics? Are you excited about that?
I'm still in the process of discovering how I feel. 12 years of building an incredible organization. I gave my all, my life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a very easy thing to step away. But I've got then to pick up the pieces and chart a new path.
But you can still bring about change for people. You
Absolutely.
can still. There's so many other things you can do. A different way of doing it.
I hope this goes well. I hope broadcast. If you asked me in March last year, where would I be in March next year? None of it would have included interviewing people, being on Power FM or being in broadcasting, or interviewing Tracy Going.
Well,
none of it.
When I got the call from your producer the other day, when Bafana phoned me, and he said to me, Mbuyiseni would like to interview you, the first thing I said was, so he really has left politics.
I did.
And I was like, yay.
Jesus, what's wrong with politics?
There's a lot wrong with politics. I'm not going to enter a political discussion, but I think there's a lot of vileness in politics, and not just here, worldwide.
Well, if you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, and we are having a conversation with the legendary Tracy Going. Stay tuned. We're going to take the news with Nyakalo Tifu.
Thanks, Mbuyiseni. Good morning once again. In news-making headlines at this hour, the trial into the disappearance of 7-year-old Jocelyn Smith continues at the Circuit High Court in Saldanha Bay on the West Coast. Kelly Smith, her boyfriend Jacqueline Apollos, and their friend Steveno van Rijn have pleaded not guilty to all charges against them. The defense is currently cross-examining Police Constable Yanga Gongota following his testimony yesterday. Gongota, who was among the first officers to respond when Jocelyn was reported missing, told the court that the child's mother, Kelly, appeared more concerned about her boyfriend than about her missing daughter. Here's a snippet of the court proceedings this morning.
That's correct. Now, my client's instructions are that that is not correct. He denies that. He says the investigating officer that was appointed the next day, Detective Sergeant Milstein.
In other news, Gauteng's executive reiterates that the lifestyle audits of its officials by the Special Investigating Unit will go ahead as planned. The provincial government says the first stage of the audits will target employees in finance and supply chain management, particularly those involved with tenders. It says this is part of a broader strategy to address corruption within government. Recently, the province fired 5 senior employees for misconduct related to the misuse of 600 million rand on refurbishing a private hospital. Government spokesperson Vuyomhaga.
Officials working at the supply chain and finance will undergo a lifestyle audit as part of the province's commitment to transparency and accountability. This initiative follows a commitment made by the Premier in 2023 State of the Province Address. The province will use SIU to conduct a lifestyle audit under a secondment agreement that was done in 2023. The lifestyle audit process is being implemented in a phased-in approach. The first phase involved the executive and the Premier. The second phase involved the HODs and CEOs of entities and departments.
More on these and other stories at 12.
Power Lunch with Bobby Malloy.
Weekdays 12 to 3 p.m.
Terence, hello.
Sorry, I want to say it in my home language to say Nakoranza and Nranza ko kensa ngopfu ntiro lowu endlaku. But this is basically me wanting to acknowledge and appreciate you for the work that you do. You also have a beautiful mind, and I thank God that we still have you on the slot. It's such a beautiful thing to listen to you, but I just wanted to let the world know you're such an amazing presenter, and I just wanted to say Nakoranza, ikensa ngopfu swinene, yana mahlweni karotera, ikensa ngopfu.
Thank you, Terence. Thank you so much.
Power Lunch, weekdays 12 to 3 p.m. on Power 98.7.
The G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group technical meeting has kicked off in the Western Cape. From March 3rd to 5th, global leaders are convening to tackle critical anti-corruption strategies. Discussions will focus on 3 key areas: strengthening public sector integrity, enhancing asset recovery, and promoting inclusive participation. This meeting marks a key step towards global accountability. A message by the Department of Public Service and Administration.
In response to the current unstable economic conditions, the Unemployment Insurance Fund, that's the UIF, an entity of the Department of Employment and Labour, has allocated 2.4 billion rand in budget for the temporary employer-employee relief scheme known as TERS to assist businesses in distress. TERS is an intervention by the Department of Employment and Labour that provides financial assistance to companies for a period of up to 12 months. The scheme enables employers to retain employees by covering their salaries while the company focuses on implementing a turnaround strategy to remain operational. For more information on TERS and how to apply, please visit www.ccma.org.za/temporary-employer-employee-relief-scheme/UIF, working for you.
Power traffic, getting you to work and home.
N1 northbound as you are traveling towards
There are
Pretoria.
roadworks with lane restrictions ahead of...
Be on the move with reliable and up-to-the-minute traffic updates every half hour.
Kempton Park on the R21 southbound, there's an accident
If
ahead.
you're traveling on Paul Kruger Street South as you are approaching Advertisements CBD, you can expect
Power 98.7 traffic.
And remember, if you come across any further traffic incidents,
Connect with us on X at Power 987 Traffic.
Now we're talking.
Hi everyone, I'm Dean McPherson, the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. In the State of the Nation reply, I announced that we're releasing 31 state-owned properties for redevelopment that will generate 10 billion rand in investment and create 165,000 new jobs. These public-private partnerships will help us realize our dream to turn South Africa into a construction site. To achieve this, the department in 2025 will be leveraging reforms in infrastructure development through Infrastructure South Africa, release requests for proposals to redevelop our small harbours, which will create tens of thousands of new jobs, as well as reforming the expanded public works program to ensure it becomes a genuine stepping stone to permanent employment. We are accelerating efforts to get more cranes in the sky and more shovels in the ground. Our department is working for you and with you to build a better South Africa for the future.
One moment, that's all it takes. A split second between life and death. You think you're invincible? That your trip will go off without a hitch? Well, the funeral parlor is more than happy to receive you. Is it too late? One wrong move is all it takes to end it all. Whatever you do, don't let your trip end with RIP. This message was brought to you by the Road Accident Fund, an entity of the Department of Transport. Road Accident Fund. We care.
Stay informed. Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, 9 a.m. to midday on Power 98.7.
Welcome back to Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. If you've just joined us, we are having that nostalgic moment with the legendary Tracy Going. And you can call us and join the conversation on 0861 987 000 and join the Power Talk, hashtag Power Talk on all the social media platforms. From Morning Live, Tracy, to an powerful writer. But, I mean, it's amazing for me. Firstly, it's a book on food.
Yeah, so I did a children's cookbook, which went on to somehow do very, very well, and I ended up at Paris Cookbook Fair, winning some or other award for it, and that was years ago. And what had actually happened was I had stopped working at Morning Live, and I was being now a mother, and my children were going to children's parties, and I didn't know what to get them, and I wanted to buy cookbooks. I thought all children love cooking, instant reward, creative, and I couldn't find a cookbook that I liked in the store, so I went home and I wrote my own, and then of course it went on to become sort of a bestseller. So that was fantastic. How
does that happen? Have you been a chef before?
No. What happened was I remember watching a show on Oprah, and she was saying, what do you do with your life? And then you think about all the things that you enjoy. And I was sitting at that point and I was thinking, well, what do I enjoy? And I thought, well, I love cooking. I love reading. I've got children.
But how did you know other people might want to know what to cook for the children?
No, it was for children to cook. So it was food that children could cook for the family. So it had no more than 5 ingredients. And it was an A to Z, and it was a poetry. So it was like buffalo bruschetta and crocodile crunch. It was a vegetarian cookbook for children to cook very simple things or make juices or whatever. And it was just a fun thing. And I put this book together, and that was it. And then sort of now, a few years ago, I wrote my own memoir, and Brutal Legacy.
Yes.
And which subsequently became a theatre production, which Lesedi Job put together and directed, play written by Natasha Sutherland. And then from that, we brought in an audience of men to watch the play, and we made a documentary called That's What She Said.
A lot of listeners might not know what Brutal Legacy is about. Do you want to take us through that just a bit?
Yes, it's a story.
What was the memoir about?
It's the brutal legacy of domestic violence, the impact that it has on one's life, as a child, and then as an adult, having been caught up in a relationship where I was beaten up at some point. And I decided, actually it was during the Oscar Pistorius trial that I decided, I was watching the court case play out on TV. It was the first time we'd ever seen something like that in the country. And I was outraged at what was happening in the courtroom, because the same thing that was happened to me many years before was happening. So in other words, nothing had changed. And I decided that I was going to write a book to give insight into what happens in a courtroom, what happens in a home of domestic violence, and how it impacts someone. So that's really what it was about. It came out 7 years ago. It's still available and is still selling.
Yeah, one of the bestsellers from the numbers I've seen. And you speak as well a lot about healing as a process. Is it related to those incidents of
Well, I'm not an
domestic
authority.
violence?
Yeah, I'm not an authority on domestic violence. So very much my thing has been about getting people to talk. That whole thing about, when people say, when you talk, you heal. Talking is the first, sharing, talking is the first step in the healing process. And I've really got to understand that sentence over the years. And it's, if you are unable to tell one other person about what has happened to you, it means that you're actually unable to tell yourself. So until you can really tell your story, it sits deep inside us, and it hurts, and it causes pain, and it affects the way we live our life. So that has always been my call, is really to get people to talk.
And then film, you're teaching film.
Well, I worked...
you're a painter. Very multidimensional. A lot of people don't explore most of their talents.
Well, I think you've got to be lucky enough to be able to do that.
Able to do that.
I've just spent 3 years studying full-time at the Ruth Prowse School of Art in Cape Town, and I've just qualified in fine art. It's something I've always wanted to do. But it is another form of storytelling.
Yes.
Exactly like you entered politics,
it's
you in
another
broadcasting.
form of broadcasting.
It's another form of broadcasting. It's just a different way of telling a story, and so is writing.
Yes. Lovely. If you've just joined us again, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. We're having a conversation with the legendary Tracy Going, who used to be on Morning Live. That's what many people know her from. But she has led a very incredible life that is multidimensional, about writing books on food, a memoir of a painful event in her own life, as well as becoming a film teacher and lecturer, as well as a painter. We're going to take calls. If you want to join the conversation, the line is 0861987000. We've got Machaba from Tembisa. Welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning, Dr. Ndlozi and Tracy Going. How are you?
We're very well. Tracy?
I can't believe I'm actually sitting here opposite Mbuyiseni after all these years.
Yes, Machaba?
Yeah, to me this is very inspirational, because I remember many years ago when you were interviewed by this legend, and here you are today interviewing the same legend, Tracy Going, which I feel very inspired, and it shows that we have come a long way. Keep on doing the good job, Dr. Ndlozi. We are proud of you.
Thank you, that's wonderful.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Machaba. Let's go to Tabang in Randburg. Tabang, welcome to Power Talk.
Sawubona Mbuyiseni Ndlozi.
Baba.
Kunjani?
Ngiyaphila unjani?
Welcome. Tracy Going.
Yes.
Quick one. Hello. Your voice and speech patterns, is it trained or does it come naturally? I'm just listening to you. I'm like, it can't be so beautiful. Is it trained or does it just come naturally?
I'm not hearing. Won't you repeat the question for me?
Your speech pattern and the voice.
He's
the way
asking
you
about
pronounce
your
and enunciate.
speech
Trained
yeah,
or does it come naturally?
the entire articulation. Are you trained or does it come naturally?
I remember when I started out on radio many, many years ago, someone saying to me, lower the pitch of your voice. Because at that time, actually, only men were on radio. And women's voices were not heard on radio.
I see.
Because they pitch and they're
Which
more
time
difficult.
is this? Which time is
this
this?
is when I started in radio long time ago, 30 years ago. So I just learned to speak, to breathe from my diaphragm and talk and sort of not have, as South Africans, we flatten our vowels. We talk about highlights and non and So I've always sort of tried not to flatten the vowels, but you don't want to speak hoity-toity either, because that's just dreadful to listen to.
Okay, so you weren't trained?
No, I wasn't trained. It
was just a self-conscious exercise?
Yes.
Okay. If you've just joined us again, this is Power Talk. Join the conversation on 0861 987 000. We're having a conversation with Tracy Going, and it's a reunion. I want to go back to that moment in 2002. But quickly before, how Morning Live put together? Did you have researchers?
There was a production team
what
behind
went
us.
into preparation?
There was a production team. There wasn't always sufficient preparation. I think when you're on air, well, you'll see now as well. You know, you're going to be interviewing authors, and then you're hoping to read the book, but of course you're interviewing 3 authors a week, so you don't get enough time to sort of do the prep that you always want to. But I think it becomes instinctive as well at some point. You know, you eventually have enough general knowledge, or you know, the generic conversations that one can have. But yes, there certainly were producers behind the scene, as they still are.
To me, from the top of my head, I think one of the biggest morning shows, or if not the biggest morning show in the continent. What were the numbers at the time?
I think we had about 4 million viewers. And again, that thing, you know, you've always got to not think that there are 4 million people watching you. That's too overwhelming. Just talk to that one person, as they say.
I see. Oh, that's the case as well with TV?
TV, absolutely. You talk to one person. There's nothing... Because you know when someone's talking to many people. It lacks that intimacy.
Yes. Somebody said... They were saying that about radio. Radio is an intimate medium. You're telling us that TV is as well?
TV is also an intimate medium. If somebody's talking to many people on TV, you as a viewer might not realize what they're really doing, but you'll find that you don't really relate to them.
Yeah. I've certainly with the concepts of tone and volume, once you're thinking about a single individual sitting in front of you like you now, the talking changes.
It does.
Because I come from the tradition of community meetings.
Well, you were probably doing, I mean, how big a rally? What's the biggest rally you've ever presented to? How many?
Jeez, couple of...
100,000?
No, never.
Oh, not 100,000. Okay.
I think at FNB we did cross 100,000 with the anniversary, but I never spoke on stage. I never did anything on stage at the time. So maybe we could say the highest is 60,000.
So it's a lot of people. So you actually do. You speak in a different way.
Yeah,
you're speaking
that's
to
true.
60,000 people on a stage.
Yeah, that's true. The best example of what we are doing now that they gave me was door to door. You know, when we come for asking for votes, we sit on couches like this and you ask for people, please vote for us. And that's the sort of nature of the conversation. But if you look at broadcasting today, a lot of people say the podcasts are killing TV.
I think so. You know, it's changed. I mean, we were lucky. We had a captive audience. You had nothing else to watch except SABC and Mnet all those years ago. It's different now. Now you're competing with anyone who has a cell phone, really.
Yeah. Do you? What's your take about where broadcasting is? I mean, we can start with TV. Is TV dying in your observation?
I don't watch TV.
You see, it means TV is dead.
TV.
TV is dead to you. What do you watch?
Well, I stream. I do watch. You know, I mean, I watch something, but I don't watch TV.
You know,
no.
So stream would be Netflix.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Instant. I mean, we're instant gratification, aren't we? Quick and easy. Switch off if you don't like it.
The future of radio. Do you think the radio will die?
Oh, I hope not. I think people are always in their car. I think, and that's where a lot of people listen. And I remember also when I was on radio, sort of knowing that you're playing into the prisons, and there's a whole different audience, you know, that are always going to be listening.
It's multi-layered, yeah. Until we have self-driving cars, I suppose.
You think they won't
where
switch
you
the
no
radio
longer, because in the Uber, you don't quite control the radio.
No, you don't. No.
Yeah, and if it's an artificial intelligence car, it is. It is, but if it's an artificial intelligence-driven car, maybe you might ask that put Power FM on. So you don't think the radio might go extinct in the next few years.
I hope not. What do you think? You've just started. Do you think you're going to have a job in 5 years' time?
God, I didn't think of it as a job. I didn't think it was presented as a high calling, and I've got the propensity to respond to things called high callings.
I think it is a higher calling. I think that's a fabulous way of looking at it.
If you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. 0861987000 is the line. You can call us on. We're having a conversation with Tracy Going. We're taking your calls as well. I don't know, Denzel, do we have calls?
I think we do.
Okay.
Pull the name on the break.
We've rushed through these. So you might want to load others. We've got Tabang and Runback. And we've already interacted with him. If you've just joined us, 0861987000 is our studio line. Join the conversation. We are chilling with the legendary Tracy Going. We'll be back in a moment.
From the change rooms to the final whistle, every goal, try, wicket, stroke, checkered flag and blows, we've got you covered.
In cricket, protest test coach Shukri Kombat announced his 15-man squad for the 2-match test series against Bangladesh.
Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta says it's going to be a long journey in the Champions League.
Springbok Kuka Bongimbo Nambi says they do realize the magnitude of Saturday's Rugby Championship decider.
Join us all season long as we bring you in-depth reports with our trusted and dedicated sports anchors.
In tennis, Wimbledon will replace all line judges with artificial intelligence.
Bafana will be gunning for their first home win.
Ulugwane City head coach Kutimo Hafe says his side went to the match against Orlando Pirates.
Power 98.7. Now we're talking.
Power Up with Kwena Moabelo.
The ANC is making it hard. Well, if reports are anything to go by. It looks like they're still pushing for this VAT thing. So now they've dropped from 2% to 0.75. It looks like the DA is on my side. I never thought I would say something like that in my life as a black person. A historically white racist party in the Democratic Alliance is fighting for the rights of the people against a revolutionary movement of the people. Because the DA says no VAT. The ANC says 2. The DA says no. It's like, okay, 0.75. The DA says no. So the DA is fighting for the people of Mzansi against the ANC. Can you believe that?
Power Up, weekdays 3 to 6 a.m. on Power 98.7. Now we're talking.
Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, where your voice is heard and opinion matters.
Welcome back to Power Talk. If you've just joined us, it's a conversation we're having with the legendary Tracy Going. We're going to take more calls. Ronald in Pretoria, welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning, Doctor. And how are you?
I'm very well, Ronald. Thank you very much. Tracy's listening too.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Ronald.
My former colleague at the SABC. I'm going to be very brief, Tracy. But let me start off by saying what a wonderful, intelligent, and well thought of addition to Power FM. Welcome, Dr. Ndlozi.
Thank you, brother.
Now, Tracy and Mbuyiseni, the interviewer turned the interviewee, and the interviewee turned the interviewer. I love this show. Tracy, did you ever thought, or did you think you were going to interview such an intelligent young man on Morning Live that day?
Wasn't he too gorgeous for words? And I think that's why the interview just has not stopped playing all these years. It just keeps coming up and it keeps sort of going viral. And I think it was just because Mbuyiseni was just too absolutely gorgeous for words. And of course, he was just so hopeful. And I think that over the years, we might have lost a bit of hope in the country. And I think when we watch something like that, we remember like who we are and, you know, and what we can make in the future. So I don't know, Ronald, what did you think? You saw the interview.
Yeah, Ronnie?
Yes. You know, I said to myself, this is going to be one of our leaders. And I saw him in Parliament. You know, I saw a young Mandela then. I said, this is one of our leaders. But the tables have turned now. Now I see John Roby in this youngness. I see Vuyo in Dr. Ndlozi. So I see all the communicators together in one person here. And what an addition to Power FM.
Thank you very much, Ronald, for the compliments. Let's try to take more callers. Peggy Nkwatema and Darwin Senton will come to you after this. Peggy, welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning, Mbuyiseni. Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning. Good morning.
This is so nostalgic, you know. Just briefly, I can see that we're running out of time. I just want Tracy to tell us about the energies in radio. You know, the energy that Bob Mabena and Grant Shakwane brought into the radio. You know, I can't help but think about that combination: Tracy Going, Bob Mabena, Grant Shakwane, and Tracy Going. It was so beautiful.
Oh, Becky, I just remember Grant Shakwane's voice. He had that beautiful voice. And then, of course, Bob Mabena, who was the most stylish man I think I've ever met in my life. He used to walk into that studio at 6 o'clock every morning like he'd stepped out of Vogue Man. Wow. He was always perfectly attired and always ready to sort of give of his best, you know. And I think we can take that forward, you know, those wonderful broadcasters behind us.
Yeah, you also, from the philosophical school, that voice is important for radio?
Well, I think so. I like to listen to a nice voice on radio. And you?
Me too. Darwin Senton, welcome to Power Talk.
The good doctor, how are you doing? And how's Tracy in the studio?
Tracy.
And yes, one, I just wanted to say it's so good to hear both of you online, you know, reminiscing of the interview that we had a while years ago. Tracy, I just want you to give some tips to the good doctor as well, because we want him to stay on radio for a long time because his voice is really soothing. And I just want to also say to the good doctor to say, you know what, the rain, we are enjoying the rain, but to you as well, just know that tomorrow the mud might be there as well. Yes. If you pray for the rain, when the mud comes, you must not complain because they come together. So keep at it. And we are so grateful you accepted the calling to be in our ears and our radio.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ndadetau. Martin in Midrand, welcome to Power Talk.
Hi, the good doctor. I promised I would be one of the first callers on this 9 to 12 segment. Welcome to Power FM. We're so glad to have you, man. We're so glad to have you. Thank you. I look forward to Black consciousness engagement on this segment, a lot of Black consciousness engagement, and I think I'll be listening every day. And to Tracy, thank you so much. We are learning a lot, even as you guys are interacting and discussing. It's something that we've been looking forward to. Dr. Ndlozi, I don't know whether you design or you choose your program, but we would want more of that Black consciousness piece.
Okay, I'm sure you'll get a lot of Black consciousness piece. Thank you so much, Martin. Thank you very much, and thanks. We kind of have to wrap up. I didn't see that the hour was gone. We're operating from a different gadget, so apologies to all the callers that were hoping to join the conversation. We had to just readjust, but you know, the other time. Okay, before any thoughts to some of the questions and
well, I was just thinking, you know, when people take the time to phone in,
yes,
you know, there is that one-on-one engagement, and radio really has value.
Yes,
and yeah, and I just feel so privileged to be sitting here opposite you, and I can't thank you enough all these years later, and I hope that interview doesn't disappear.
Yeah, that's my hope too, but I came with an award that day. Today I'm coming with a gift of appreciation.
Oh, thank
you so much.
Thank you. I can't thank you. I must thank you
so much.
And it is so wonderful. And I mean, you're still as gorgeous as ever.
You're also extremely gorgeous. Well, we thank you together with the team, Denzel, Dipuo, Fano. Thanks so much. You came all the way from the Eastern Cape to come and be with us today. And I hope that you will continue to write You will continue to paint. And maybe the next thing is write an excellent, powerful film about broadcasting so that, we learn something from there, because you're just a wonderful broadcaster.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone and to the listeners who listened and called in. Thank you. It's wonderful being here.
Thank you. That's it for today. And we're going to take the news, top of the hour. Thank you, Power Talk, with Nyakalo Tifu.
Power News.
Thanks, Mbuyiseni. The top stories at this hour. The trial into the disappearance of 7-year-old Jocelyn Smith continues today. And Gauteng MEC for Health says the department is concerned with the high rise of obesity amongst the youth population in the province. With the news at 12, a very good afternoon to you. I'm Nyakalo Tefu. The trial into the disappearance of 7-year-old Jocelyn Smith continues at the Circuit High Court in Saldanha Bay on the West Coast. Kelly Smith, her boyfriend Jacqueline Apollos, and their friend Steveno van Rijn have pleaded not guilty to all charges against them. The defense is currently cross-examining Police Constable Yanga Gongota following his testimony yesterday. Gongota, who was among the first officers to respond when Jocelyn was reported missing, told the High Court that the child's mother, Kelly, appeared more concerned about her boyfriend than about her missing daughter. Here's a snippet of the court proceedings this morning.
That's correct. Now, my client's instructions are that that is not correct. He denies that. He says the investigating officer that was appointed the next day, Detective Sergeant Milstein.
In other news, the lawyer for Zanzu nightclub owner Zola Majavu says his client maintains that he is not aware of the visual events that circulated on social media. However, Majavu says his client remains ready to collaborate on account, whether through criminal or civil means. He is briefing the media on behalf of the director of Zanzu Club, Neo Muela, to provide clarity on matters pertaining to the club. This comes on the back of videos which emerged on social media weeks ago showing young men being sexually and physically abused. Majavu says the police have been treating his client not as a suspect but as an individual who has been helping law enforcement authorities with their investigation.
We are not going to stand here and pretend that we can simply walk away because he was not there, he didn't give any instructions, this happened without his knowledge. I know what the law says. I have explained to him what the legal position is. The only plea is for everyone to respect the sensitivities of the rights that have been trampled upon while we allow the law to take its course. And once the police are done with their investigations, they will act accordingly. And once there is a case to be answered by him or any other person, I undertake to take him by the scruff of his neck to the police so that he can be processed accordingly.
Gauteng's executive reiterates that the lifestyle audits of its officials by the Special Investigating Unit will go ahead as planned. The provincial government says the first stage of the audits will target employees in finance and supply chain management, particularly those involved with tenders. It says this is part of a broader strategy to address corruption within government. Recently, the province fired 5 senior employees for misconduct related to the misuse of 600 million rand on refurbishing a private hospital. A government spokesperson, Vuyomhaga.
Officials working at the supply chain and finance will undergo a lifestyle audit as part of the province's commitment to transparency and accountability. This initiative follows a commitment made by the Premier in 2023 State of the Province Address. The province will use SIU to conduct the lifestyle audit under a secondment agreement that was done in 2023. The lifestyle audit process is being implemented in a phased-in approach. The first phase involved the executive and the Premier. The second phase involved the HODs and CEOs of entities and departments.
And Gauteng MEC for Health, Nomantunko Morale-Hoko, says the department is concerned with the high rise of obesity amongst the youth population in the province. The Gauteng Health Department is hosting a 2-day childhood obesity prevention summit in Sandton, which coincides with World Obesity Day. According to the Provincial Health Department, obesity is a major issue in the country, with 13% of children aged between 6 to 14 classified as overweight. People are classified as obese if their body mass index, which is a measure of body fat, is above 30. Speaking earlier this morning, MEC Nkomoralo-Hoko says obesity can lead to non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, stroke, hypertension, and cardiovascular disease.
And in South Africa, the Health of the Nation study shows that 13% of children aged 6 to 14 are overweight or obese. One of the highest rates in Africa is us. The rise of childhood obesity has placed the health of an entire generation at risk. So, ladies and gentlemen, childhood obesity is not just about appearance. It is a serious medical condition that increases the risk of developing chronic diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular diseases. In Gauteng, we are already seeing the impact of obesity-related conditions in our healthcare system.
She also went on to say that it should not be normal for preteens and teenagers to be taking diabetes treatment at their tender age.
Our time, which is childhood obesity, that has been forgotten. It has been one of those areas that we never thought it is. I was telling Rifilo one time that it hurts me to see children that are diabetic, because I know those children, when they are in those stages, that